Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. Welcome back for the weekend. Thanks for being here. We're hanging out for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC Radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you're tuned in to the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in the 4 o'clock hour as per usual. We are with you until 6 o'clock tonight. We will hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network for the opener of a 4-game home series against the Sacramento Athletics. First pitch scheduled for 6:40 tonight. The Royals will be whole, or at least whole on the offensive side of the ball for the first time in a long time, as both Vinny Pasquantino and Michael Garcia were activated from the injured list today, and both are in the starting lineup for the Royals tonight as they'll look to grow off of a series victory over the weekend in Anaheim against the Angels. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch from the K here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We are jam-packed on this Monday. It's the cheat code. You guys know this. Even if you don't work in sports radio, you can imagine. The Monday after a football weekend is the cheat code. They are the easiest shows in the world to do because you just talk about what you saw from the weekend. It's fresh in everybody's mind. Maybe not as fresh because it was a Saturday preseason game for the Kansas City Chiefs, their preseason opener, Arrowhead Stadium on Saturday. Chiefs open in the L column. It's been a long time since they've won a football game. It's been a long time since they've won a preseason football game, although I know that doesn't really matter. They had an opportunity to win the game on Saturday. Went by the wayside. Chiefs lose 20-12. Did not visit the end zone. 4 Harrison Butker field goals, accounting for all of their scoring. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns for the Rams, sealing the victory for them. Lots to discuss from that game, including, I'm going to kind of torture the English language a little bit, and you're saying to yourself, Dan, you do that every day. But roll with me here. That was not the 2026 Chiefs that took the field on Saturday, but it felt like the 2025 Chiefs in a really uncomfortable way. And I'll explain what I mean as we go along. We'll talk about whose stock went up. Emmett Johnson, Jaden Hicks. Whose stock went down? Anybody on the backup offensive line? Most of the defensive line? We'll talk about all of that today. I know you've got some thoughts. We'll look to hear from you on the matter throughout the program today. Also get some reaction from training camp. Today's final week of training camp. Training camp dissolves on Thursday. Everybody goes home for that last week of preseason preparation. And then after the Chiefs close out the preseason 2 Fridays from today at home against the Seahawks, it'll be 17 days before they play again. But final week of training camp in St. Joe. Andy Reid spoke today. We'll also hear from tight end Jared Wiley, who had some interesting things, I thought, to say today. We'll bring that to you later on in the show. Both of our guests today are also football-centric as well. At the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour, Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com, will join the program. Look forward to chatting with Matt about what he saw in that Chiefs preseason opener and anything else going on around the league that we have the time and the space to discuss. Also coming up at 5:25 today, you know him, you love him. He's the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, continuing with our 3rd week of training camp reports. And Mitch signed off on the name Cherry on Top Week for this theme week on our training camp reports. These are players, if the Chiefs do get breakout years from them, it would be a luxury. It would move them closer to the ultimate goal. Not a must, but a would be nice if they broke out. And we'll start today with the player that had some moments in Saturday's preseason opener, last year's 7th round pick at SMU, Brashard Smith. So that's coming up with Mitch Holthus. Our training camp reports brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. That is coming up at 5:25 today. And we will get into some baseball because, man, Noah Cameron, that was something yesterday. A complete game. How about that? 115 pitches and his arm didn't fall off. Imagine that. Noah Cameron goes the distance for a 1-hit shutout. The lone hit, a chintzy bloop single off the bat of Vaughn Grissom with 1 out in the 7th. And Noah Cameron becomes the first Royal since Zach Greinke in 2009 to throw a complete game 1-hit shutout. Still been a long time since that last Royals no-hitter. I think it's 89. Brett Saberhagen, the most recent Royals no-hitter. I know it's Saberhagen. I forget the year, 89, 91. It's somewhere in there. It's been a long time, suffice it to say. It's been a long time since the Royals have thrown a no-hitter. And Noah Cameron came awful darn close and continues his excellent run of pitching. And as I mentioned, Royals are getting to 100% on the offensive side. They will roll out their first choice lineup tonight for the first time in weeks, with both Vinny Pasquantino and Michael Garcia coming off of the injured list. We've also got our typical Monday shenanigans on the program, the good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. We'll have a round of what is wrong with you to start a new week. We've also got our 580 Sports Talk headlines coming from the weekend as well. Lots to get to there. Did you know circumventing the salary cap is apparently legal in the NBA? You just do it and nothing happens to you? How about that? Interesting. That headline and much more coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, throughout the program, your interaction. I want to hear from you. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. That is 785-272-9429. Also, you can interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Name of the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Now's a good time to go subscribe. If you're a subscriber, you saw a new YouTube short float across YouTube today with a familiar sounding voice talking about Emmett Johnson. So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now's a great time with football season right around the corner and high school sports season right around the corner. Whole lot more content coming your way on the YouTube channel. Go subscribe, 580 Sports Talk. And when you watch the show live every day from 3 to 6 on our YouTube channel, you can jump in the chat, say hello, interact with your fellow listeners, and grow the 580 Sports Talk community. Got Vance, Mark H., and Andrew in the chat today. Appreciate you guys being a part of the program. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along here today on 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get into it. Chiefs lose to the Rams on Saturday, 20-12. I'll be honest with you. I watched the game on Sunday. I DVR'd it, watched it on Sunday. Had some other stuff going on Saturday, and I decided, instead of watch it that night, I'll watch it on Sunday. It'll be fresher in my mind when I get back behind the mic on Monday. You got to be strategic with these things when your time allows. I had already forgotten what the final score was. I had seen the score on Saturday. I'd already forgotten it by Sunday. Like, it doesn't matter. Statistics, they don't matter. like a quarterback's completion percentage or, yards per reception. Like, the stats really don't matter. The outcome at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter that much. Besides, it was the Chiefs out there, but it wasn't the 2026 Chiefs out on that field. Patrick Mahomes didn't play. Travis Kelce didn't play. Chris Jones got one snap. That was kind of funny, actually. He started the game. They pulled him right away. He ran off the field with his arms out, shrugging like, wait a minute, that's it? That's all I get? Yeah, that's all you get, Chris. That's all you get. Just make sure you remember what your job description is. Kenneth Walker got one snap. George Karlaftis got 3. Starting offensive line got 1 drive. So it wasn't the 2026 Chiefs that you saw on Saturday. And in the end, that is kind of why there's just not a lot you can really take from a preseason game. But you can be forgiven if you had the same reaction I had watching that game, that it felt a lot like watching the 2025 Chiefs. And I don't just mean in the sense that they had a bunch of backups out there, because, goodness, if you remember last year when it got really dark there after the Mahomes injury, it wasn't just the Mahomes injury. A bunch of guys were out injured, right? Like Rashee Rice wasn't out there, and Trent McDuffie wasn't out there. The starting offensive line was like 3 bouncers and Creed Humphrey. Like it got dark. It got dark at the end of 2025. So I don't mean it like that. I mean it in the sense that we saw a Chiefs team that was sloppy. We saw a Chiefs team that was lacking attention to detail. And we saw a Chiefs team that lost. So that's how it felt like the 2025 Chiefs. The Chiefs committed 12 penalties for 83 yards. And I know I just got done saying literally the words, the stats don't matter from a preseason game, but that kind of matters. That's a stat that matters. 12 penalties for 83 yards, including one that took a touchdown off the board. The Chiefs did not score a touchdown, and their best chance to score one, the one play where they visited the end zone on an Emmett Johnson run, was wiped out by a holding penalty. Although, I'll be fair, on the replay, looked to be a bit of a harsh flag on Hunter Norzad, but it was a flag. And another touchdown that could have maybe put the game in the Chiefs' command in the fourth quarter went by the wayside, thanks to one of the more egregious drops you'll ever see by Jason Brownlee. And again, is Jason Brownlee going to make the 2026 Chiefs? No. This is the first time we've talked about Jason Brownlee the entire offseason, other than mentioning that he scored the first touchdown of the preseason last year. Jason Brownlee got open deep down the field. He had a step. All the defensive back could do was jump and try and deflect it, and he didn't. And that ball went straight through Brownlee's arms like he was forming a basketball hoop with his arms. And the Chiefs went from leading 9-6 with that ball in the air for what would have been a 94-yard touchdown, would have put them up 10, to losing, because the Chiefs would eventually punt, the Rams would score in the short field, and then they would score again, and they would win the game 20-12. Like I said, ignore the stats. Ignore the final score. None of that really matters in the long run. What matters is, can you do the fundamental football things well? Block, tackle, catch. Can you do those things well? Can you do them well over and over again? And even accounting for the fact that this was the first of the dress rehearsals for the 2026 Chiefs, the answer appeared to be no. And that's frustrating. Coming off of a season where the emphasis was not on necessarily, we've got to change what we do, we've got to freshen up what we do, we've gotten old, we've gotten stale, we need to focus on how we're going to change what we do to keep up with the rest of the AFC that went zooming by the Chiefs like a house on the side of the road last year. The emphasis, and it was embodied by returning to Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator, the emphasis was accountability. We're not going to make little mistakes. We're not going to commit drive-killing penalties. We're not going to have drop passes that take points off the board or put points on the board for the other team. We're going to get the little stuff right. We're going to get back to that because that was the foundation of the team that went to the Super Bowl the year before last, 2024, where the talent level was beginning to diminish relative to the teams that had won back-to-back Super Bowls. But the edge the Chiefs had in 2024 was execution. And that slipped so drastically in 2025 that the emphasis going into 2026 was almost entirely on that. Execution, accountability. We're going to get the little things right. We're going to execute. So then to go out in preseason game number 1, and yeah, I know it's the twos, but to watch the twos commit penalty after penalty, to watch a defense that looked like it needed some tackling practice, to watch Jason Brownlee drop what would have been a touchdown that might have put the game on ice there in the fourth quarter. That was an unwelcome, familiar feeling watching that in a Chiefs uniform. That felt a lot like same old same. Which, again, is expressly what everything this offseason was about getting away from. The caveats all continue to apply to the small sample size, to it's one game, to those guys. Like if Hunter Norzad and Ethan Driscoll are playing important snaps for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2026, then it doesn't really matter if you're dropping passes or not. You're in trouble as is if some of those guys are on the field for meaningful 2026 downs. But, like, Eric Bieniemy's not just out there coaching the starters, right? It's not just about accountability for the starters. It's accountability for everybody, right? It has to be everybody does the little things right. Everybody gets the fundamentals right. That's the whole idea of having training camp, having a 90-man roster in the first place. You coach those guys up, you get them to do the right things. That was a team that didn't do a lot of the right things on Saturday. Kind of like they were a team that didn't do a lot of the right things in 2025. And I warned against it at the end of last season, and I do not think that one preseason game is evidence that my thesis is automatically correct or already correct. But I remain vigilant about this, and the Chiefs had better remain vigilant as well. Losing permeates. Losing seeps in. It gets in the walls. It's like black mold. It gets in the walls. You might have to condemn the house. You do too much losing. You think you got it all out, and then you didn't. There's countless examples of NFL franchises like that. Chiefs don't want to become one of them. They did a lot of losing last year. And if the first preseason game is any indication, some of those losing habits are still hanging around a little bit. They got 2 more preseason games to flush them out. Obviously, there were some good things that happened on Saturday. Emmett Johnson was the headliner. For a second there, you turn your head. If you're only half paying attention, out of the corner of your eye, you see a Chiefs running back running upright, running hard, turning the legs, and wearing number 10. You might have thought you were watching a game from 3 years ago, or you might have wondered, wait a minute, didn't Isaiah Pacheco go to the Lions? That felt familiar in a good way. That felt like a younger Pacheco, who, I mean, we got to remember, even though it went downhill after the injury in 2024 and went downhill fast, first 2 seasons by Isaiah Pacheco, he was excellent. If that's what Emmett Johnson is, if that's the upside he offers, that's huge for the Chiefs. That's terrific if they could have a player that caliber as their number 2 running back, because he certainly looked like he ought to be the number 2 running back. And given the playing time or lack of with the 1s and 2s that Amari DiMercado got, I think the Chiefs probably see running back number 2 ability in Emmett Johnson. Showed some ability in space, caught the ball, obviously scored the touchdown that got called back, had another nice run that got called back on a penalty after the catch. But he was the star on offense. The main man on defense was Jaden Hicks. He flying around all over the place. Important season for Jaden Hicks, entering year 3 as a pro, trying to earn the trust of the defensive coaching staff. He was noticeable. He popped. Like, down to down, play to play, even the big picture of a preseason game. You want to be careful not to overreact. You want to be careful to celebrate the stuff that flashes. Even if it is just a flash, that's what you're looking for. Like Cyrus Allen getting his elevator up to the top floor to make a catch in zone defense, move the sticks on third down. Like, that's a flash. That popped. I didn't feel like there was a ton that really popped positively. There was also, I didn't think, a lot of stuff that really popped negatively other than the penalties. There was one really bad missed block by a tight end whose name I've already forgotten that almost got Garrett Nussmeier hurt. That was pretty bad. Like I said, the penalties, those obviously pop in a pretty negative way. But if you were looking for like a lot to get excited about, you saw it from a handful of guys. Johnson, Hicks, R. Mason Thomas had a couple of really nice pass rush reps. Peter Woods, not so much. That was not what I expected from Peter Woods' preseason debut. Maybe the ankle that he rolled last week was still hindering him a little bit. But, like, I don't want to put out the impression I left disappointed with a lot of individual performances either. I thought there was a lot to like. There were the penalties, the sloppiness, the drops. Those were disappointing. But I left more disappointed with that collective indiscipline than I did with like any group of players or any handful of, or at least guys who you feel like, oh man, the Chiefs are leaning on you and you played poorly. I didn't think there was quite as much of that, but I'm telling you, the next 2 preseason games better look a lot different in terms of the penalties, in terms of the execution. Because if you didn't get that fixed, then what's fundamentally going to be different about 2026? Other than hopefully having Mahomes for all 17 games. I want your thoughts. 785-272-9429 is the text line. Tell me what you thought. Tell me who you were impressed with. Tell me who you weren't impressed with. I want to get your thoughts, your reaction to the Chiefs preseason opener. 785-272-9429. You can also weigh in on the YouTube chat. 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame coming up here in just a little bit. Our NFL Insider joins me in about 10 minutes. Mitch Holthus will join us at 5:25. We'll hear from Andy Reid later on. Lots more reaction to that Chiefs preseason opener. What is wrong with you? Headlines. We'll get to some Royals talk as well. I got a pair of tickets for tomorrow night. Royals A's. In celebration of Noah Cameron being great last night, I went and snagged a pair of tickets for a lucky listener. We'll give those away later on in the program today. We're just getting started on this Monday. Thanks for being here at 580 Sports Talk. 3:30 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting revved up. Appreciate you being here on this Monday. Lots more reaction to the Chiefs preseason opener coming up. In the 4 o'clock hour, we'll do stock up, stock down. Who you were impressed by, who you were unimpressed by. We'll take your thoughts throughout the program on the text line, 785-272-9429. And on the YouTube channel at 580 Sports Talk. Let's start over there. Andrew had some thoughts. Let's get to some of those in the YouTube chat. Things that stood out to me: Brashard Smith outshined by Emmett Johnson. Amari DiMiccato, the fourth string running back, ? Cyrus Allen, good catch. And finally, Jaden Hicks is the next Trent McDuffie. I don't know about Hicks and McDuffie being the same, just different positions. But Hicks was all over the place. Very noticeable with his impact. It looked like a guy fighting for a job. Looked like a guy who was making a statement. That was one guy, it felt like, if he could make a statement in the preseason, which is debatable. If there was one guy out there trying to, it was Jaden Hicks. And that statement was, hey, don't forget about me. I know he's behind Shamari Connor, who didn't play on the depth chart. He's obviously behind Alohi Gilman, but he made a very real do not forget about me kind of statement. He had the pass breakup in the end zone, a couple of really good tackles, played the run well. Like, that's the Jaden Hicks I think we thought we were going to see last season, coming off of what was a pretty good rookie year. And we only really saw that player in fits and starts. Carl has some thoughts as well. Defense is fine. Offense has a lot to prove. I was impressed with Cyrus Allen. Was not impressed with Justin Fields. Yeah, the thing with quarterbacks in the preseason is you're not running, and especially this game, because you're going to see the opposition again in a game that matters in December. So the Rams and the Chiefs ran like the most basic stuff. Like it was effectively like a Pop Warner high school playbook out there. A lot of boot action, a lot of, easy first read, easy button routes that we've talked about. Like, can you hit those routes? And every now and again, a play will break down. A quarterback will have a chance to show you what they can do on the run or show you what they can do outside of the pocket. I thought Nussmeier had a good moment making a throw to, I think it was Remigio in the third quarter. Justin Fields, kind of looked like Justin Fields. So no big surprises there. But that's why, you don't lose your mind over a quarterback putting up, he had a really good completion percentage, or, he didn't throw any interceptions. He took good care of the ball. Like the playbook, the game plan is designed to make it really easy on your quarterback and just run the most blood simple stuff. And you're running against blood simple stuff. Like, you're not having to deal with a lot of coverage shells, a lot of pre-snap rotation, a lot of exotic blitzing. You're just out there playing scout team type stuff. But thank you for the thoughts. Let's go to the text line from the 785. Here's the thought. Garrett Nussmeier, I thought he played pretty good for his first time in an NFL game. Yeah, I don't mean to entirely dismiss or hand wave Nussmeier. I thought he showed some stuff. I really like that play to Remigio. He rolled to his left and kind of directed traffic and then made the throw on the move. That showed a little savvy, a little understanding of how to make things happen when the first play breaks down. Obviously made a really nice throw to Jason Brownlee. It should have been a touchdown. If we're talking about him throwing a 96-yard touchdown, 94-yard touchdown, we'd maybe feel a little bit differently. But can't hold that against Nussmeier. He made the throw. But yeah, I didn't think he looked overwhelmed out. I certainly think he looked a sight better than Chris Oladokun. I'll be honest, the Oladokun portion of the football game, that's where I kind of checked out. That's where I kind of started half watching. Even on DVR, I'm kind of half watching at that point because I've seen Chris Oladokun's movies. I don't need to eat the Chris Oladokun tape. I watched that entire Raiders game last year. Okay? I suffered enough. Here's what's up from the 913 on the text line. Grade card for week 1. Kickers A. D-line D. Felix F. Hard grader. I'll say this for the defensive line. And then, because I said earlier, I expected more from Peter Woods. And the texter from the 785 says that criticizing Woods without having Jones, Karlaftis, and Tonga out there next to him is really unfair. And I'll tell you why it isn't. He's a first-round pick, and he's out there against the twos. It's okay that he didn't have, 6 sacks, but I would have liked to have seen some impact. He didn't really impact the game. And somebody put together a cut-up all his snaps in the All-22. He did face a lot of double teams. Didn't do much against the double teams. Clearly, the Rams were, he was the guy that they picked out that they were going to double team on the interior when he was out there. So that's part of it. But the performance on the field did not match what we had been hearing, what we had been seeing from training camp. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not all of a sudden selling all my Peter Woods stock. This is not a sell. I'm not going Jim Cramer on you here when it comes to Woods. But I expect a little more impact. And likewise, and I talked about this with Felix Anudike-Uzomah, hey, it's time to start being better than the backups that you play against in the preseason. And yeah, Felix didn't do much of anything. I think an F is probably a little harsh. But yes, the defensive line was underwhelming, and yeah, just not a lot there. Not a lot of impact from the Chiefs' defensive line, and I expected more from that. From the 785, I don't understand why teams that play in the regular season also play in the preseason. Yeah, I would imagine most coaches would like to avoid that if they could, but it's sort of like the NFL doesn't make the schedule, right? You kind of are in charge of figuring out who you're going to play in the preseason, is my understanding. So there's agreements down the line. It's closer to college scheduling than it is to NFL scheduling. Does it make those games less beneficial, or I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't think the coach is minded either way. Again, especially if it's the first preseason game, you're just out there running vanilla anyway, no matter who you're playing against. Appreciate all the thoughts. We're going to keep taking your thoughts throughout the show. We'll get to some more comments from the YouTube in a bit over at 580 Sports Talk and on the text line, 785-272-9429. Before we get to Matt Verderame, I want to tell you about my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers here in Topeka. They are the place to go, and they are Topeka's choice as selected by voters and readers of the Topeka Capital Journal. They are once again Topeka's choice, the Community Choice Award for the best jewelry store in town. If you go in, it will be easy to see why. Not only the best selection, but the absolute best customer service and buying process around. Go see them for any jewelry of any occasion. It's Calhoun's Jewelers, 18th and Gage in Topeka. Matt Verderame is next on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, Matt Verderame, who covers the league for Sports Illustrated and SI.com. You can also catch him on his Patreon. Subscribe to his Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show, or check him out on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network. Matt joins us every Monday at this time. Matt, one word to describe the Chiefs' preseason opener, what would it be?
Youth. I think that was the story of it. I mean, listen, we could talk about a lot of different things, and I'm sure we'll talk about a good portion of it, but I thought if you're the Chiefs, you're walking out of that game, look, to hell with the final score. Nobody cares. No one's going to remember that in a million years. I defy any listener right now. What was the score of their first preseason game a year ago? Who are they playing? Does anybody know? It doesn't matter. But I think if you're Andy Reid, you're Spags, you're Bieniemy, you're walking out of there feeling pretty good about the young guys. And ironically, like Peter Woods was probably the quietest rookie they had out there, and he was the one that everybody was so excited to see play in this game. So, it was a day where there were some negatives for sure, but I thought overall, to the Chiefs, it felt pretty good about what we saw Saturday.
Let's talk about a couple of those young guys. Cyrus Allen only had 2 receptions, one of them very impressive, a leaping catch there in the zone, in the zone defense, a little bit of a high throw from Nussmeier. He scaled the ladder to get it. Based on his usage, based on what little you got to see from Allen, does it feel like the Chiefs are treating him like he's going to get, suffice it to say, starter snaps or starter minutes for these Chiefs?
He's going to be the 4th receiver on the team. I mean, I don't even know how you could watch this team and do anything other than that. Look, he's not going to be above Rice or Worthy. Thornton is a much different type of receiver, but I would think Thornton will be the 3rd receiver. Allen's going to be the 4th. And 4th receiver is like people think about it in terms of, then he's not a starter. He's going to play 30, 40 snaps a game. He's going to have to. I mean, that's if everybody's healthy, which they're not all going to be healthy every week. Look, if you watch that game, you mentioned the one catch he made, which was a highlight. Everybody saw it. He also had 17, 18-yard play taken away from him because Royals was called for PI, which it was kind of ticky-tack. Let's put it this way. It didn't impact the play. It wasn't like if Royals didn't do that, Allen wouldn't have had the yardage. I mean, so, that was a big play that got taken away. He had another play in the second quarter. He was wide open, beat his guy for a touchdown, and Nussmeier put it a little bit too low. He didn't put enough air under it. The ball got tipped away. So, listen, I thought Allen played well. I thought he played in a way that continues to show why they're high on him. He's smooth in and out of routes. He explodes out of breaks. He's got very good hands, and he's somebody who they're going to have to use. I mean, look, they really should have added a receiver all off season, and they might get really lucky that this 5th-round kid just ended up being what they needed. But it's been big for them to see his development, and I think you saw more of that Saturday.
Matt Verderame joining us here on 580 Sports Talk, covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. On the defensive side of the ball, our Mason Thomas showed some explosion and speed coming off the edge. That's what got him drafted 40th overall. It translated, at least in the first preseason game. I was also pretty impressed. He made at least one play I can recall off the top of my head where he got pushed against the run and came in and made the tackle on an inside run, looking like a chance to be maybe more of a complete player in the long run. But in the short term, how much does that speed element change the Chiefs' pass rush for 2026 if he's got the ability to get off the line of scrimmage like that?
It transforms it. I mean, listen, I think everybody feels it. In fact, I know everybody, or I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people on Arrowhead Drive are very, very bullish on Peter Woods. That he has been, as one person put it to me, day after day, every day there's a splash play. I don't think they've changed that opinion because he had a quiet day against the Rams, who ran a ton of bootlegs, and they got not only Woods, but a couple of the younger guys on that stuff. But Thomas, I thought the most impressive thing was that some of his best snaps had nothing to do with his speed. And that was kind of the thing. Like coming out of the draft, all right, well, he's 239, which to Spagnuolo, he might as well be 139. Like Spagnuolo just always wants these bigger ends, right? I mean, Karlaftis is in the 260s. Frank Clark, I think, was 270. Dunlap was 275. Like, they covet these big physical guys who can really contain the run on the outside. Thomas is 239, 240, and was doing a nice job fighting off blocks, whether it was from the tackle or the tight end. I thought the best pass rush he had the whole game was a 3rd and goal from 6, and that was a bull rush. I mean, he got into the left tackle's chest and just bull rushed him right back into Stetson Bennett and forced a bad throw. Yes, he had the speed rush at the end of the half. That one's a little bit a little bit misgiving in the sense that, look at the Hail Mary, and Simpson was like 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage. But he played really well. And keep in mind, that's when Chris Jones isn't out there and Karlaftis isn't out there. And that's also true of Woods. I'm curious on Saturday in Tampa. Tampa's going to play their starters. That's what Tampa does. Bowles is old school. They're going to play those guys. Do you see some of Woods and Thomas with the first team so they can get a little bit of a look at what that is against the starting unit? I'll be very curious to see.
Jaden Hicks also had a good game, the third-year pro out of Washington State, who looked primed for a year 2 breakout, and then it just never happened. And C. Spagnuolo kind of called him out towards the end of last season and felt like didn't quite have the trust of the defensive coordinator. But he was really good, had a couple of pass breakups, some good play and run support yesterday. What's his best role in that safety group? And is he kind of boxed out right now with Gilman and Connor? Are those two guys like clearly better than he is in their defined roles, that Hicks is kind of just going to be a rotational piece unless he really forces the issue?
Gilman, to me, is the best safety on the team. They love Connor. That's been made evident over the last few years, right? I mean, if they could play Shamari Connor at every position simultaneously, I think they would find a way to do that. They have an affection for him. And listen, I think he's a good safety. I think as a slot corner, he's been exposed repeatedly. But as a safety, he's a good player. I think the role for Hicks is kind of one that is going to evolve here in the next year or two in the NFL, which is we are seeing teams now play more 2 and 3 tight end looks than ever before. And this is something the Rams played a ton of 3 tight end looks. In fact, last year, 30% of their snaps were out of 3 tight end looks. And I think they're still going to be on the very, very high side of that. No one else is using 15%. But it's a copycat league. And if you go back and look at this draft, how many teams in the first 100 picks spend a pick on a tight end who does nothing but block and goes out with the occasional pass? Well, a lot of them. And when you are a defense, you've got to make a choice. Okay, are we just going to go into base personnel, bigger personnel, and match that way, and that makes you susceptible to the pass? Or do we have a guy who we feel like is big enough to come down, play that role a little bit as kind of the hybrid linebacker safety? Well, Jaden Hicks could do that. Hicks is the size of a linebacker and yet can really cover. Obviously, he is a safety. And also, Bossa can do that because Bossa was a safety in college for part of his career before transitioning over to linebacker. The Chiefs actually have 2 guys who both shined on Saturday who might really be something that teams are going to be looking for in the next couple of years. These hybrids at that position. That could be a role that Hicks really carves out for himself. Look, he played more than half the snaps last year. I could see him doing that again, but this time maybe in a little bit more of a prominent.
Talking with Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated and SI.com, joining us on this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Let's go around the league a little bit. First, it was news that broke Tuesday, so we never really got a chance to talk about it, but Kyler Murray named the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. What is that team's ceiling with Kyler? They made it shake with lesser talent at quarterback, or at least perceived lesser talent at quarterback with Kevin O'Connell up there. Is Murray in a spot where we could see a bounce back campaign from him? Are they in a spot where they can contend in the North?
I don't know they can contend in the North. I don't want to rule it out because I think extremely highly of that coaching staff. But, man, that's a tough division. I like the Bears, and the Bears defensively do scare the hell out of you. I mean, they may give up 27 points a game, but they can score. The Packers are always going to be a good, a good, competent team. The Lions, I just don't know if they can stop anybody. And offensively, you lose Mays in the middle. Like that, the team just feels like it's kind of on the downside. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they bounce back, but feels it's headed that way. I think the ceiling for the Vikings is to be a team that makes the playoffs and gets bounced. I mean, I think that's kind of where they're at. Like they don't have any real reason to be more confident in that. Kyler Murray is better than anybody they trotted out there last year. At the same point, the Arizona Cardinals cut Kyler Murray. They're like, we're good. We don't need to see any more of this. Murray was on some pretty good teams early in his career, never won a playoff game. Never even approached winning a playoff game. So I think, look, they're more interesting than if J.J. McCarthy was starting, but it's hard to look at them in that NFC and think they could be in the divisional round or further. Like, yeah, could they be a wild card team? Sure. I think personally that that's probably the ceiling.
When you see a quarterback who is a veteran in college, like a Carson Beck, a Drew Aller, a Garrett Nussmeier, have good numbers in their first preseason action, do you put any stock into that? Do you look at that in a way that suggests like, okay, maybe they're in a situation where they found some footing, a fresh start in the NFL? Is there any additional stock you put into a good start for a veteran college quarterback in preseason?
I think it's hard with quarterbacks to judge them in the preseason because no one's game planning. Like, literally, no coach in the NFL is doing any kind of game plan work. I think you would see more out of a running back because, look, I mean, the guy's got speed or doesn't. Shift here, he's not. You know, receiver, you could see, hey, that guy can just run routes. The guy's got good hands. Like, that stuff just translates. With quarterbacks, yeah, you got to go out there and read the defense, but the defense is ultra vanilla. You're not reading against some real exotic blitz package. You know, that's why, like, even with a guy like Ty Simpson, everybody went crazy about it. Ty Simpson was playing against a bunch of guys who were getting cut for weeks. I mean, with all due respect to him, it's just the truth. You know, and Spagnuolo's not sitting there dialing up his best, you know, blitz on a fourth quarter play against the Rams in August. Like especially since they play him. You're really not going to see anything. Look, it's encouraging. They played well. All three of those guys did. But, yeah, I think it's just very hard when the D coordinator is not trying to defeat the quarterback. They're trying to work on other things. You know, every once in a while you'll see a guy that goes out and plays awesome, and you're like, wow, that guy's crazy arm talent. Like Billy things. I don't know that, you know, that was proven in any of these games, but it's always good to play to play well, to play poorly. I mean, you go watch that Browns game. The Browns trade for all three of those guys tonight. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, take it for what it's worth.
Last question for you, Matt. We know a little bit more about their thought process behind it because they're the featured team on Hard Knocks this year. But the Seahawks signed Terrion Arnold last week, despite the fact that he currently faces 8 felony charges. And I guess my question is, what's the rush? And what is so additive about Arnold to the Seahawks or any team that they feel like they can't afford to wait for the legal process to play out over 8 felonies, which is a lot of felonies, Matt, last I checked.
It's not a small amount of felonies. I mean, look, the thing that just is flooring about this, he wasn't even good with the lines. It's not like he was like some all-pro that you're like, well, we just got to get him. You know, like, he wasn't good. It wasn't like you watched Terrion Arnold in Detroit just a wow, he's just holding down one side of the field. He wasn't awful. But he certainly was not a guy who you walked away from watching him in the pros and go, wow, I mean, that guy's going to get $100 million in his second deal. Like, that's not going to happen. But this is, I've said this to people 100 times, and I'm sure before my career's over, I'll say it 1,000,000 more. There are a finite amount of guys who you can put on an NFL field and not be embarrassed by. And Terrion Arnold fits that description. He can do it. He's got the height, the weight, the muscle build. He's got the speed to do it. Teams are just going to go out and bring in those guys. They are. Now, I'm not comparing the two people. I don't want to conflate the issue here. You know, Henry Ruggs was up for parole earlier this year. He ended up getting denied. I guarantee you, if he had gotten parole and regains his freedom, some team at a bare minimum would have had the conversation internally if they should bring him in. Like, it's just, there are so few people who can do what these guys do. And so with Arnold, teams are going to look at it and go, yeah, it's awful and it's terrible and it's not good, the allegations, and we'll see what happens. But you know what? We'll take a chance on him because he can go out there and cover somebody. And that is the ugly reality of professional sports sometimes.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on that football show, the KC Sports Network. Has his Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show, that you can subscribe to, and joins us every Monday here as our NFL Insider. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a timeout, come back, and wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Sports Talk, and once again today I'm pleased to be joined by Ryan Christopher. He's the owner of the Smoothie King that's going to open this Saturday. Grand opening ceremony Saturday, August 22nd. Smoothie King at 2121 Southwest Wanamaker Road in Topeka. Smoothie King remains focused not just on satisfying people's thirst on a hot day or their hunger, but also really committed to helping people reach their fitness goals. For the athletes out there that are listening to our show, maybe the parents of athletes, younger athletes who are listening to our show, in what ways can the options at Smoothie King really help and be a part of somebody's fitness routine, their pre-workout, their post-workout, and help be a part of those fitness goals?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, the high school boys, you know what they like? They like to bulk up, right? And so we have a smoothie called the Hulk. It's butter pecan ice cream and bananas, and you can do strawberry, and oh my gosh, it is a bulk up smoothie that tastes phenomenal. And then for the real active people who are runners or you like to get out and about and move, we've got an Activator Recovery Smoothie, and it's got coconut water, electrolytes in it, and just protein, some wonderful ingredients that taste great that's going to help you really kind of feel refueled and hydrated after your post-workout.
That's Ryan Christopher, owner of Smoothie King. You won't want to miss the grand opening celebration this Saturday at the new Smoothie King here in Topeka. We'll be back with more 580 Sports Talk after this. A quick good, bad, and ugly from the weekend that was. My good, in case you missed it, Noah Cameron was not just good. He was great yesterday for the Royals. I know this is the time of year, and I can feel it too. This is the time of year when you have a baseball team that you're following that is a million miles out of contention, where the baseball sort of feels extraneous because you're starting to get into football mode. I feel it too, even though I'm a baseball guy first and foremost. But if you did not watch it on Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles, Noah Cameron, one-hit shutout, first one by a Royal since 2009. He was awesome. He's been pitching great. Had a great changeup. It was really fun to watch. My bad, 12 penalties for 83 yards. That was the sum total for the Chiefs. And I didn't have an ugly. I had a really good weekend. Enjoyed time with my family, with my wife and son. I had a really nice weekend. Coming to the 4 o'clock hour, more Chiefs reaction, and we'll hear from Andy Reid and Jared Wiley, plus a round of What Is Wrong With You, as 580 Sports Talk continues here on 580 WIBW.
Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis talking sports in Topeka. This is 580 Sports Talk.
Let's get it. Down number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Glad you're here. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis hanging out here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. Online at 580WIBW.com. On your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. 2 more hours to hang out today. Then we hand it off to Royals baseball at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. Pregame coverage from Kauffman Stadium as the boys in blue return home after a 2-4 West Coast swing. They start a 4-game home series against the reeling Sacramento Athletics tonight. After beating up on the now, once again, last place team in the AL West, the Royals will try and take it to the team that was in last place in the AL West before the Royals beat the Angels 2 out of 3 over the weekend. Michael Wacha's on the bump for KC tonight. Mason Barnett pitches for the A's. And I got bad news for you, Mason Barnett. Royals got the A lineup back. Vinny Pasquantino and Michael Garcia both activated off of the IL today. More on those transactions a little bit later on the program.
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. The boys are back. Go tell everybody down at Dino's Bar and Grill.
The boys are back.
Go tell everybody down at Dino's Bar and Grill that Garcia and Pasquantino are back in the Royals lineup. 6:40 pregame, 6:40 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame tonight here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. And in honor of the 2 injured Royals returning to the lineup today, I have a pair of Royals tickets to give away to tomorrow night's game against the A's. So be listening for your cue to call for those. Still to come on the show today, a lot more thoughts on the preseason opener for the Chiefs. Chiefs lost to the Rams 20-12 on Saturday. I'll ask you the question. Matt asked me, I could not remember. Do you remember who the Chiefs played in their preseason opener last year and what the score was?
Yes, they played the opener.
You don't?
No. Was it the Seahawks?
No, that would have been the second one.
The Bears?
No, that would have been the last one.
I don't know.
Yeah, see? Exactly. That's how important the preseason and the results are.
Who was it?
I don't remember. That's the point. Matt Verderame was making that point, and I was just agreeing with him. It was the Cardinals.
Ah, yes, they were in Glendale
yes,
or wherever.
They lost 20-17.
I just remember the Bears game because I was there.
You were at the Bears game, yeah. And I remember the Seahawks game because they were playing the Seahawks. But other than that, am I going to remember that a year from now? Probably not. So, point well made. But we'll talk about who impressed us, who depressed us, or at the very least did not cover themselves in glory. Depressed is a little bit of a stretch, but we'll talk about the players who maybe have their stock go down a little bit from the preseason opener. And we want to hear your thoughts. Who were you impressed by? Who did you want to see more from? Who are you ready to send to the Saskatoon Roughriders of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, excuse me. Put some respect on their name. There's a Saskatchewan Roughriders of the CFL. Your thoughts are welcome. 785-272-9429 on the text line. 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. A welcome to all of our chatters there. You can Hang with us throughout the show today. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up later on this hour. We'll hear from Andy Reid, who spoke earlier today in St. Joe. Jared Wiley also spoke. And we'll hear from the Chiefs' third-year tight end out of TCU. Still got headlines to get to. Still got Mitch Holthus, who will join us at 5:25 this evening for another training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. We'll talk some Royals baseball later on, too. Give those tickets away as well. So be listening for your cue to call. Chiefs did lose on Saturday, but the game was not without its bright spots. And I think if you asked the average Chiefs fan, if you surveyed Joe average Chiefs fan and asked them who looked the best in the preseason opener, I think they would give you the name Emmett Johnson. The fifth-round pick out of Nebraska had 15 touches, which is quite a bit. So, obviously, the Chiefs wanted to get him a look. And so he played extended snaps. Him and Brashard Smith got the most work from the running back group. Amari DiMercato didn't play much at all, which that's kind of interesting. That will be something that
I'm not liking that.
So when you don't,
Unless he's hurt.
when you don't play with the ones or the ones, as it were, and you're an established veteran guy, like when I saw Christian Fulton out there late in the second quarter for the first time, like that's the kind of thing where, all right, well, you can read it two ways. I guess one is, we're not really concerned. We want to see these guys with the ones more than we need to see this veteran who we've had around. Or, this guy's played in NFL games. We want to get the young guys more snaps. But also, if they don't want to see you with the ones, that means they don't see you as somebody who can play with the ones, even the ones as they're constructed for a preseason game like this, where it's really a lot of a mix of the ones and the twos. They don't want to see you play with those guys. That means they don't think you fit with those guys. That's how I would read it. And that might mean that the stock is down for Christian Fulton and for Amari DiMercato.
I kind of hope so, because I don't – show me something.
Well, for Fulton in particular, right, like we've talked about this. They're going to have to get rid of a veteran, at least one, at that spot. There's just not enough room for all the defensive backs that are rosterable if they want to keep some of their younger guys. They want to keep Melvin Smith, who should be noted.
Spoke to the media today.
Yeah, he talked to the media. He started opposite Noah Williams. Or if they want to keep Kevin Knowles, or if they want to keep Xavier Wampa, like they're going to have to cut a veteran or two or three guys who've got some NFL service time. And Christian Fulton might find himself on the outside looking in. The cap savings I don't think are as important. Maybe they are. I don't know what the Chiefs could turn around and do with the cap savings if they were to cut Fulton. But that, again, that's one of those things you notice when you're watching. If you're not out there playing with the ones or the twos, then that doesn't necessarily bode well. But Emmett Johnson, back to him because that's who we were meaning to talk about. Emmett played quite a bit with the twos, got a little action with the ones. 15 touches, 69 yards. He made 10 tacklers missed. PFF charts this stuff. And Emmett Johnson forced 10 missed tackles on Saturday. Nobody else in the entire NFL on the first full weekend of preseason action forced more than 5 missed tackles. So he's making people miss. He's running through people. He's running hard. He's running upright. He's pumping the legs. He's wearing number 10.
Looking kind of like Isaiah Pacheco did.
Looking a lot like the previous number 10. Did he show you enough to make you feel like that ought to be running back number 2? That I'm comfortable saying that should be the change of pace behind Kenneth Walker. Never mind DiMercato for a second. Set him aside. That was very concerning that we didn't see him until the second half. Concerning for DiMercato. Kind of giving me Elijah Mitchell vibes at this point. Yeah, without the injury
Which is
history.
what I was thinking. So when we came into camp, it kind of seemed like it was, at least the first week, predetermined that he was going to be the second guy because he was a vet.
Uh-huh.
But now I think if he makes this roster, I think it's going to be the Elijah Mitchell treatment.
Very well could be that he's inactive on a lot of game days.
I will say,
were you more impressed with Johnson than with Brashard Smith?
Just slightly.
Okay.
Only slightly, because I think Brashard should make it. I posted this on X. If it was a battle for the returning role, Brashard Smith, Carrot, Nico Remigio.
Better than?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've long believed that. He had a nice punt return. And like Brashard Smith did some good things in the passing game, more so than as a runner.
Yeah.
And I think that it's understandable that would be his particular strength because that was his background. He was a wide receiver. He basically played 1 year running back in college at SMU and still maybe doesn't have that comfort level at doing running back things at the pro level, which you would understand. But Chiefs gave him a lot of opportunities. But as far as a carrier of the football, runner of the football, I didn't think there was any doubt. Johnson was a lot more impressive there. And that physical running style, I think, gives him a chance because what the Chiefs, again, did not have last year, we have elucidated over and over again this offseason. What they did not have was explosiveness in the running game. But what they did have was effectiveness in short yardage because they had in Kareem Hunt somebody who could run hard, churn the legs, fall forward, get you the yard that you needed to keep a drive going, give you the 2 yards you needed to keep the drive going. And it's not to say that Kenneth Walker can't do that, but it is notable that the Seahawks did not ask him to do that last season, that they were more comfortable asking Zach Charbonnet to be in that role. So do the Chiefs now, maybe in the way that Johnson showed that he can run, he can be physical, he can run between the tackles, he can get to the corner, get to the edge, make guys miss. Do they have in him a viable short yardage weapon, and might that be a ticket to Emmett Johnson getting on the field in his rookie season?
I think so. I think that that's going to be a big part of it. And I don't know. The preseason is such a hard thing because he does have a physical style, but he did all this against second, third, even guys that won't be on the roster.
But he's a second, third guy now, right?
So,
he's out there against his peers, and he looked a lot better than his peers.
I will tell you what, he looked like an NFL player.
Yes.
If you did not know that he was a rookie or that he was a back, like I thought he could have been maybe he was a 6th round pick.
5th round.
5th round. And I was thinking he looks more like a 3rd, 4th round guy the way that he played.
I think that he did stand out in a physical sense out there and definitely did himself some favors, not just making the roster, not that was in doubt, but giving himself, maybe carving himself out a role. We talked a lot about Jaden Hicks, too. Matt Verderame had some interesting insight on that. If you missed our conversation with Matt, that was in hour 1 of the program today, bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. Podcast is already up on Spotify, search 580 Sports Talk, or on our website, 580WIBW.com. Hicks's role might not be as a safety on this team because he's blocked. Like, Alohi Gilman is going to start at free safety, and Shamari Connor's going to start at strong safety. And for what it's worth, I think that's a really good safety duo. I think it's got a chance to be one of the better safety duos in the league. I really do. I'm very high on Connor. He's had a great camp. Gilman's a steady vet. But what Hicks might be is, so we talk about nickel being the base defense, where you have 4 down linemen, you get 2 linebackers, you have 5 defensive backs. And we think about that 5th defensive back being in the slot, a slot defender. We think of them being like a Trent McDuffie or like a corner, somebody who's got the ability in coverage, but we think of them as a corner build, not maybe necessarily a safety build. Well, Jaden Hicks is almost a borderline a linebacker build.
Yeah.
But he has the athleticism. He has some coverage ability to be, I think, an interesting option in some of those early down 5 defensive back looks where, okay, you think they might be throwing the ball, but you're going to need somebody who can come down and support the run in a way that, like, maybe that's not Chris Roland Wallace's best fit or whoever your slot corner is, Cater Kohu, whoever. maybe that's not a slot corner's best role, is to have to come down and fit the run or help out on an inside run and shut the play down. But Jaden Hicks can give you that. So he might have more of an early down role and almost serve as a third linebacker, like in some of those nickel situations. And Matt laid it out really well, I thought, talking about how, in the nickel look, you're looking for like a hybrid type of athlete at that position. And the Chiefs have two guys who could fill that role, with Hicks and Jeffrey Bassa being another one who played safety at Oregon and is kind of a linebacker. Like, he's small for a linebacker, but he's big for a safety, big for a slot defender, right?
To that point, there was something said on the broadcast, and preseason broadcast to me is different because these guys are selected by the team, and I sometimes take a little more stock in what they say because they're told things.
Yes, they spend more time just with the home team. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I don't know if it was Trent Green or it was what's his name?
Ari Wolf.
They said in the beginning of the game that Christian Roland Wallace is going to fit into that slot position really well, or something along those lines. And it really was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's been getting the reps with the ones at that spot.
It was
they
just
love Roland
weird
Wallace.
because it seems like nobody's talking about that besides them. Like it just wasn't as talked about. They were talking about putting other players in the slot position. That's what we've talked about, the nickel slot.
Right.
So,
and I think that Hicks has an opportunity to get on the field in that role. And it could be an interesting development there. The other guy that I want to talk about positively, like, for the most part, I thought the rooks that we saw played well. I'm struggling to remember.
Thomas is like a guy the Chiefs have never had.
Well, you have to go back to D Ford. And nobody liked how it ended with D Ford. Nobody likes the lingering memory of D Ford as the Chief. His final game as the Chief and what he did in his final game as the Chief. But also, he was a Pro Bowler that year. He's a 15-sack guy that year. And it's that element of speed off the edge. And we saw that it was the third down play near the goal line. Matt Verderame talked about this play in particular. It was a third down play where Jaden Hicks had the deflection. It almost turned into a pick. And the Rams had to settle for a field goal on their first scoring drive. But R. Mason Thomas makes that play because he's off the edge like a shot, and he is in Ty Simpson's breadbasket, and Stetson Bennett's breadbasket, and he makes Bennett throw that earlier. The timing is off on the play, and it helps Hicks be able to make a play on the ball. Like, that's an example of making an impact without putting a stat together. But I also remembered him making a play against the run that I thought was really impressive because you're thinking about him, just given his size, given his build, as, okay, third down and 10, we're bringing in R. Mason Thomas to pin his ears back and come off the edge and create some havoc with his speed. And if he's just that in year one, I think that's great. That's additive for the Chiefs. But he also showed maybe an ability to set an edge there and get inside and help fit a run, and that was really encouraging too. I thought R. Mason Thomas was somebody who upped his stock and maybe recalibrates what we think he's capable of in his first season. I want to talk about Peter Woods on the other side of this because I've already had a couple people in the YouTube chat, in the text line, say I'm not being fair to Peter Woods because EMA stats, no pressures, no QB hits. He really didn't do a whole lot like in the stat sheet. And yes, there are other ways to impact the game other than the stat sheet. And yes, it bears mentioning that he was eating the double teams. That if he's playing next to Chris Jones is going to eat those. Or if he's playing next to Kyrus Tonga is going to swallow those up. And so Peter Woods was in a role, in a technique that was not probably the one that he's going to play most often when he's playing with the top defensive line that the Chiefs have. And those are all fair points. But at the same time, I want to see you do something. I want to see you win a rep. I want to see you get in the backfield one time. Make make some kind of noise, of impact, get the better of a matchup. Like, I'm not saying that Peter Woods played bad or I'm selling all my Peter Woods stock. And then it's also fair to note that he tweaked an ankle late in the week in practice and may not have been playing out there at 100%. They wouldn't let him play if he was like any less than 90%, but like he might not have been his absolute physical best.
I mean, I know you don't game plan during preseason.
And you don't.
But I think they said, we're going to double team this guy, the Rams. Because
yes, he's
I'm
the
going
guy.
back and watching it now.
Right.
Almost every single snap he was double teamed.
Yeah. 4 down linemen, 5 offensive linemen. Somebody's getting double teamed every snap, right?
Yeah,
like,
but
or
he
somebody
was
you're running duo on somebody, and it was him a lot. It was him very
But also,
frequently.
are you really going to double team Felix and DK Uzama with what he's put on the tape?
Well, no, you're probably not going to. Yeah, you
So that's already a guy you're not double teaming.
right. Like,
So-
this is not, like, I am not saying hold all my calls on everything I said about Peter Woods. I'm disavowing all the excitement I had about Peter Woods. He didn't flash. He did not flash in the way that I expected that he could flash against the Rams twos. And I still want to see what it looks like when he is next to Jones, next to Tonga, next to Karlaftis, in between two of those guys for an extended stretch. I suspect it will look good. There's too much noise and there's too much good film from camp for there not to be something there. But I expected I would see something from him on Saturday and was a little disappointed not to. That's all.
I don't understand this, but he said it late last week, Thursday. Chris Jones spoke, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, one of those days. He said he didn't expect to be on the field. Why in the world did the Chiefs put him out there for the first snap on defense?
Because Andy Reid. And to be funny.
Because of what he said, you think?
Maybe. I don't know. Well, Kenneth Walker only played 1 snap, too. So it wasn't like Jones was the only one. Karlaftis played 3. There are a bunch of guys who were out there very, very briefly.
I know. It's just funny to see that and then pull
but
it
yeah,
out.
one is like, what's the
Like,
point?
he goes on the
he
field
put on
and
his uniform for that? Like,
yeah, he put on his helmet, and then
What's the-
broadcast was like,
what's
Chris Jones comes out after the first snap.
What's the country song? I shaved my legs for this. Like, that's the Chris Jones. I put on all that tape. I put on my pads, all that for this, for 1 snap.
To be fair, though, everybody was dressed.
Yes. No. Mahomes was in full uniform. Everybody put on the pads.
Yeah. So
One other group that we got to talk about, and at the end of the day, in a perfect world scenario, none of these guys sees the field. But boy, that second team offensive line, that was rough. Sapole had some ups and downs. Ethan Driscoll was terrible.
why is he on the field?
It was a walking
my
penalty.
guy, I get it. I shouldn't. He's my guy, right? He went to Marshall, but he wasn't on track. Like, what is he doing at the second team? Was he that good in camp?
Well, they want to get a look at him. They've kept him around. He was
'Cause,
hurt
yeah.
all last year. Like
He just lost himself any potential as the guy's the 53rd man.
They gave him a shot, and he didn't do too much with it. But Hunter Norzad wasn't good. Had a holding penalty that waved off a touchdown. Mike Caliendo was sloppy. Had a penalty. Like that was not a good effort from your second team offensive line. Did not instill a lot of confidence that the Chiefs are capable of withstanding any kind of long-term injury to that first 5. Couple of texts real quick. Let's go to the text line, 785-272-9429. Good point from the 785. Bootleg Bonanza isn't going to showcase Peter Woods either.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah.
I think he won that rep because the offensive lineman knew what he was doing.
Yeah, a lot of boot action, a lot of naked, a lot of that in the vanilla game plan, whatever Sean McVay's Pop Warner playbook looks like. And you see it all over the league. Like I think it was Mike Tanier, who a longtime NFL writer who I follow over on Blue Sky, said something about, I've seen enough boot action in these preseason games to last me several lifetimes. Like it's just something you put in to because one thing it does is ideally keeps the defense off your quarterback. You put your quarterback in a spot where, 1, he's not going to get hit, and 2, he's got an easy high-low read, or in his own defense, easy high-low read, you just figure out, can he make the right read? Like Ty Simpson made the right read a lot on those high-lows.
I did. Speaking of quarterbacks, Garrett Nussmeier looked pretty good.
I thought he was all right. Like, the one play I really, really liked was the pocket broke down. He moved to his left. He redirected Remigio on the route, and he hit him in space, moving to his offside, his left side, throwing with the right hand. I thought that was a really good play. The throw to Brownlee should have been a touchdown.
That's what I was
gonna
say.
there were some good things. Like, I'm not here to say, throw out the entire stat line. He actually stunk. Like, he secretly was bad. But again, there's so excited I'm willing to get about the third string quarterback against a third string and a fourth string defense when you're running something uber vanilla. Like, he went out there and did what he had to do.
I like what I saw from Brenningstool as well.
Brenningstool had a
10-yard screen pass.
Yeah, the tight end screen. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, showed some ability on the move there. That was good to see. A lot of screens.
Yeah.
Which, good and bad. Good because the Chiefs need to revive their screen game. Bad because if they've got that many screens in the Pop Warner playbook,
you're not going to see any during the regular season.
Yeah, you're getting them all out of their system now. Another listener from the 913 on the text line points out that Pro Football Focus had the Chiefs dead last in pressures on Saturday, dead last for the week in the NFL. And, yeah, that adds up. You just did not see a lot of really impactful defensive line play. And that doesn't mean, again, I'm not writing off Peter Woods. I'm not saying he sucks now because he didn't have a pressure in the first preseason game when he's getting double-teamed a bunch. But there was not enough impact outside of R. Mason Thomas against the Rams' passing attack. And I wanted to see a little more. I thought we'd see a little more from Woods. I thought we'd see a little more from Felix, for sure. Felix having a quiet game. Like, I didn't see him getting pushed back. I didn't see him falling down. I didn't see him, like, completely out of the play. But he was quiet. And at the point where quiet isn't going to cut it from Felix Anudike-Uzomah. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up. So we got some Chiefs audio to bring you from camp today. Andy Reid and Jared Wiley both spoke today. Got headlines. Mitch Holthus at 525. So hang with us here on the program. Real quick, though, I want to shout out my friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon here in the capital city of Kansas. I know we got more rain in the forecast this week and had some rain over the weekend. Got to get shined up. Want to look good. It's early days of school. Maybe you've got a new job. Maybe you're just getting into your new school year. Ride's got to look right. And it will look better than you can imagine when you roll it into Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. They have the car wash that fits your needs. They have the ultimate wash plan that can fit your needs. Get a car wash every week. Get one every day. Ultimate wash plans start at just $19 a month. They get the towel dry so you don't have streaks on your shine. You can drive off of there feeling good, looking good. Your car will be looking great. Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon in Fairlawn Plaza. Soar with the Eagle once a week. Back with more 580 Sports Talk. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? We've got a brand new week, which means 2 brand new stories to bring you on what is wrong with you today. I will go first. We're going to Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts, where 42-year-old Jeremy Croft, who has a lengthy history of shoplifting and trespassing, you will come to find very soon in the course of me telling you this story that is an understatement, was sentenced to up to 3 years in state prison due to a series of larcenies from Home Depot stores in the South Bay Mall and West Roxbury. On February 23rd of last year, Croft was seen on the South Bay Mall Home Depot surveillance footage taking 2 drill combination kits valued at nearly $800 and leaving the store without paying. He returned to the Home Depot the following day and was approached by employees who told him he was trespassing and needed to leave the store. Croft replied that he had stolen the 2 drills the day prior and would be back to steal more.
Wait, you're telling me he just admitted to stealing?
Yes. He looked them dead in the eye and said, yeah,
What is wrong
I
with
took
you,
those
dude?
drills yesterday, and I'm coming back for more. And he did. 4 days later, he was seen on Home Depot surveillance footage stealing more merchandise, and then he hit it again March 17th. He also committed a second series of larcenies in the same Home Depot between May 8th and June 21st, and one in West Roxbury on April 12th. In several of those instances, Croft was captured on video wheeling hundreds or even thousands of dollars in merchandise out of the store in large trash barrels, which he also did not pay for. The total value of the thefts was around $7,000. He pled guilty to 7 different charges of larceny. His criminal record includes more than 80 convictions.
Wow.
With at least 65 of them resulting in committed time. He has been convicted of more than 20 shoplifting charges. He will serve 3 years in prison, 2 years of probation. He's also been told to stay out of Home Depot.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I just cannot
when
believe
you have 80 convictions, this is where the criminal justice system needs to put this guy in jail.
Like, he's career criminal, but he's not very good at it.
Yeah.
If he were any good at it, he would be, not in jail all the time. Sort of like, remember Jordan Lyles? Like, Jordan Lyles in baseball for like 15 years. It was never good, but he kept getting gigs. Michael Lorenzen just DFA'd by the Rockies today. Michael Lorenzen, another example. Great hang, I'm sure, but like, you're a career big league pitcher, but you can't get anybody out. What's that about? UPS is hiring. Same thing, man. Get a real job. He walked out of there, stole that stuff, went back the next day. Was going to do some more crimes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They told him they had found out his game, and he said, yeah, well, guess what? I'm going to steal again. There's nothing you can do about it. I guess in the end there was, but the brass one's on that guy. What's your story today?
We're going to Upper Grand Lagoon, Florida. A man was arrested after Bay County deputies said he exposed his genitals through a television from an apartment balcony onto vehicles and threatened to kill law enforcement officers. The Bay County Sheriff's Office said Marcus Butler, 40, faces multiple felony charges following the Thursday incident at Perla Apartments in the Upper Grand Lagoon area. According to the Sheriff's Office, deputies responded to the apartment complex around 11:30 a.m. after receiving reports that Butler was throwing household items from his balcony onto vehicles below and harassing residents. While deputies were at the scene, investigators said Butler continued throwing items, including a TV, at vehicles, patrol cars, and deputies. Multiple vehicles, including BCSO patrol units, were damaged, according to authorities. Deputies said Butler repeatedly exposed his genitals from the balcony while they tried to resolve the situation with him. Deputies obtained an arrest warrant and went to Butler's apartment to take him into custody. He barricaded himself inside the apartment after deputies showed up to his door, leading to a response from the SWAT team. SWAT team members forced their way into the apartment and gave Butler commands, but authorities said he refused to comply. During the standoff, he threatened deputies, saying, "I'm gonna kill y'all," end quote. After the standoff, Butler was taken to custody. He was hit by a less lethal round during the incident, was taken to Bay Medical Center for treatment. No injuries to deputies, though. He was arrested and faces the following charges: 4 counts of criminal mischief, 3 counts of indecent exposure, battery, resisting an officer without violence, and threats to kill a law enforcement officer.
Yeah, yikes.
Yeah.
Clearly having some kind of a psychotic break there. You don't just throw stuff off the roof and whip out your junk and threaten to kill cops if you're all the way there. I'm going to go with the Home Depot thief today.
Yeah.
Just funny exchange in the YouTube chat. Jeffrey points out if it were Saudi Arabia, they'd chop off his hand. And Mark B says he wouldn't have any limbs left. 80 convictions. Just the brazenness of telling them, I'm coming back. Don't you worry. I'll be back. I'm going to steal more. Watch. And they did it. 4 days later, he did it. Amazing. That guy's our winner on What Is Wrong With You. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Jared Wiley when we come back on 580 Sports Talk.
Nobody covers your teams like our team.
This is my team?
The sports voice of Kansas.
A musclehead, a bunch of yes men, and a doodler?
580 WIBW.
.444 on 580 Sports Talk. Back to business in St. Joe today. Final week for the Chiefs at Missouri Western before training camp officially wraps on Thursday. Andy Reid spoke to the media after today's practice.
As far as the injuries go, really today, let's go hurt his knee out here. Not sure how bad it is. We'll just get it checked here. Pole had some dehydration. Singleton tweaked his hamstring a little bit, and then Cochran's knee, but finished practice there. So, and the rest of the people you already know, they're from last week. So, Delane did practice today, did everything, was in all the drills, and looked good. So it's good work for him as he goes through that. As far as the game goes, kind of like what I mentioned after the game, there were some good things. It was great to get the young players in and get them moving around a little bit and see how they do under that pressure playing in a game. And there's some things we got to clean up. Obviously, the 5 holding calls and the 5 illegal procedure penalties, you can't have those. I mean, it's just that discipline. You've got to be more disciplined than that. And so we go back and we keep stressing that. And anyways, both sides of the ball, we plenty of stuff to learn from. But there were some really good things that we took out of it from some of the young guys there, and they got plenty of play time, which was good. Time's yours.
Now you've had a chance to work a little bit longer with DeMarco and Chad O'Shea. What are your thoughts about them as coaches and what they brought to the team?
Yeah, I like the detail they're bringing to the group there. They're staying on the guys and to detail their work. They've got some young guys that they're dealing with and new guys at the position. So from another team, so free agents. So there's a lot of teaching going on, and they're doing a good job doing the teaching.
Andy, what about that, just the process of your right tackle, trying to figure out the start of it?
Yeah, listen, Moore has been doing a great job in there. So for us, and but with that, and Benson doesn't get any reps at it, and we want him to go against the better players and have a chance to continue to grow there. So we just flopped him over and let Moore get some reps at guard, and then Benson get some reps at the tackle spot. But Benson held his own at the guard spot in the game, and but listen, they need to be able to play both as we go through this thing, and it's a good experience for it, but it's not one over the other. Like I said, Moore's been he put together a lot of good days here and played good the other night. So, or whenever we played here, Saturday. All the days are running together.
Andy, you feel pretty good about where Trey Smith is at?
Yeah, Trey's doing good. You know, we'll see. I mean, he's getting close. So we'll see where it goes here. I don't know if you'll see him this week, but he's getting close.
Mansour, what's the process of trying to catch Delane up?
Yeah, so he's, the doctors have done their studies. He had one done the other day, and looks like he's healing up pretty good, enough to where he can get out here and do some things. And then we'll just monitor and see how he does with the extended play. He hasn't taken that many reps as what he did today, so we'll just see how he does.
Coach, Manny, where do you want to see Emmett Johnson improve as you go here?
Yeah, he did a nice job. He ran hard. Some of his footwork, he's getting him going in the right direction early. I'm not saying he went the wrong way. Just we try to tie the footwork up with the back with the O-line, and you've got to be able to set those guys up. And there's got to be a certain amount of patience, and your angle becomes important on that you take to the line of scrimmage. So he can work on that. But as far as the effort, ability to make people miss, I mean, you got a pretty good idea of his vision. All those things were positives.
Now you've got a couple weeks to work with Kenneth Walker. What's it kind of been like to see him up close and what he can add to this team?
Yeah, he comes to work every day, works hard. So I like that. He catches the ball well, blocks well, runs well. So, yeah, I like what we see, for sure.
The last two, Pete and then Harold. Good, Pete.
Coach, is there something you can do in practice to help with the penalty thing you talked about?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to put yourself in the right position so you're not doing those things. We're kind of on the offensive line. We're overshooting things a little bit, and we got to make sure we cover up bodies on that in the run game and pass game. You got to let go. There's a time and a place where you got to let go. It's not an effort thing. It's putting yourself in the right position, disciplining it, and then you do the same thing in practice. You work on that. And then our responsibility to hold the guys accountable during practice.
Last one, Harold.
Back there, Andy, with the tight end depth, we're about here for Jared, but just what you say to these guys. We obviously know what Travis can do, but just seeing Jake, Jared, and all those guys, how have you seen them?
Yeah, they're all getting better, which leads to great competition there. So, like what we see. Jake and Trey doing a nice job. Jared's doing a good job, so it's happy with that spot. We just got to keep growing. And they've got a few things they can correct from this game, which will be good for them. But the energy's right, the willingness to block is right. We just got to keep growing there.
That was Andy Reid, and funnily enough, he's talking about the tight ends there. We'll segue from that right into one of those tight ends he was discussing, the third-year man at TCU, Jared Wiley. The beginning of this is cut off, but he was asked a question about how he's feeling physically coming off of all of the injuries that he's dealt with the last 2 years.
It's funny, we'll watch like last year's preseason, or I'll go back and watch camp from last year, and I'm like, God, that looked terrible, dude. Like it was awful. So definitely feeling like myself again though.
What are the differences there from what you can tell?
Just a lot of stiffness. I had a lot of stiffness last year. Still was dealing with some swelling and stuff like that. I would say the main thing though is just like mentally trusting yourself. Being able to do OTAs this offseason was a huge help. Just kind of working through a bunch of that stuff, and then by the time the season gets here, you've repped these things so many times that you don't even think about it anymore. Whereas last year I felt like I was thinking about it a lot, like before I was going in and out of breaks, before I was doing stuff.
What was it that got you over that hump to where you felt comfortable?
Honestly, just a lot of stuff in the off season that I did this year. I was able to actually work out instead of rehab this off season, so that was big. Getting with some of my guys, route running, weightlifting, stuff like that. I was even doing Pilates, like literally whatever I could do to just try to kind of work through some of those growing pains again.
Jared, did the mental part kick in with the physical, or did you have to overcome something with the tentativeness?
For me, I would say that there was a lot of just overcoming in general. I think what helped me just kind of continually and slowly trust myself was just the amount of reps that I got in practice last season. But I mean, even then, like you don't really feel great until you're not really feeling anything at all. Like sometimes whenever I'd cut last year, or just some small stuff to where I was just like, I don't really know if I liked how that felt, but just this year, just being able just to kind of say, screw it, we're gonna dive into this route, or we're gonna lift heavy weight this off season to make sure that I'm strong.
The catch at Saturday's game, you seem to know it was a catch immediately. Just what did it do for your confidence based on all the work leading up to it?
Yeah, I mean that's one of those for me that like those types of catches are kind of what I've prided myself on since I was in college. Making those hard grabs, I'm a big guy, quarterback trusting me to put it up there where nobody else can reach it. Just stuff like that, just being able to be kind of a safety net or a safety blanket for my quarterback whenever he's in trouble, or however that needs to look.
Yeah, we'll go with Sam, and then we'll go two in the back.
Sure, I know no two injuries or recoveries are the exact same, but having gone what you went through, I just wonder if it gives you a certain appreciation for seeing Patrick out here and just what he's been doing.
Oh, 100%. That dude is a warrior. I mean, I'm not going to say I know exactly what he feels, because everybody's different, but I know how hard it is to bounce back like that from something like that. So to see him out here running around, jumping around, still having fun and just being in a good mental headspace, it kind of puts it into perspective, like with everybody else. Like, what do we have to complain about? I mean, this guy's out here working his tail off and still having a great time with it in year 10. Like, there's no room for complaining from anybody.
That was Jared Wiley, what the third-year tight end had to say in St. Joe earlier today. Again, training camp wraps up on Thursday. Our training camp reports with Mitch Holthus, those keep on trucking through next Friday. We got another one coming up at 5:25. We'll preview that. And the rest of the hour, we wrap up this 4 o'clock hour 580 Sports Talk after this timeout. .456 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. We are actually, out of respect to Jaden Daniels, we're going to skip the 5 o'clock hour today. We will not be doing a
That is the worst thing on the internet right now. It's his mother. All these social media teams doing that, it's garbage. Let it go. And you're not even they're not even understanding the reason for it. The number 5's not the reason for it. He just doesn't want his name, image, and likeness used by them anymore. That's the whole main thing. If anybody read it, they would know it.
The Mets are out there dunking on your quarterback, man.
I know.
Columbia University football.
After they beat
scoring off
the
of
Mets,
him.
did it after they beat the Nats.
Oh, that hurt even more.
You're telling me.
I thought I would get a reaction. I didn't think it would be that good. Oh man, that was totally worth it to hold on to that for the entire show. Coming up we will do a 5 o'clock hour today. The Jaden Daniels Memorial 5 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, joining us for another training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. These are players that the Chiefs would love to have step up in 2026. Additive players, bonus money, found money players. And Brashard Smith will be the first one under the microscope today. We'll also talk a little baseball. Noah Cameron, terrific. He has now pitched exactly as many innings this year as he did in his rookie campaign. We'll look at the trends.
Man call his own pitches.
Clearly that's
what
working.
we learned this year.
We got a whole bunch of headlines as well coming up in the final hour of the show today. But speaking of the Royals, I scored a pair of tickets for tomorrow night, the Royals and the A's at Kauffman Stadium. But I want to send you to go see the boys in blue. First caller, fastest fingers, 785-272-9429. You're going to the K tomorrow night, 785-272-9429. Come on back with us. One more hour, 580 Sports Talk.
Spencer Dupuis, talking sports in Topeka. This is 580 Sports Talk.
Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday evening. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, rocking with you for one more hour here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, the MSC radio app, and on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk. Hello to our video viewers today as well. However you're checking out the program, we appreciate you being here on 580 Sports Talk today. With you until 6 o'clock, then we'll pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network. Some more reasonable hours for Royals Baseball this week as they return home to Kauffman Stadium for a homestand, starting tonight with the first of 4 against the Sacramento Athletics. Remember back when these two teams played towards the end of April and the A's were in first place? That was a real thing.
Crazy.
It was a real thing that was happening. The A's are 49-75 now, one of only 3 teams in baseball with fewer wins than the Royals. The A's and the Athletics, or the A's and the Angels both at 49 wins, and Colorado at 50 wins. Kansas City, even with San Francisco, with 51 wins. So, the race to not be the worst team in baseball, it's tight at the bottom. But the Royals did themselves a favor with 2 out of 3 over the Angels this weekend. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on because Noah Cameron was so good yesterday afternoon. We'll get into some of that, preview tonight's first game of that series. It's tonight right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Pregame coverage, as I mentioned, 6 o'clock. And the first pitch from the K at 6:40. Texter from the 913 says, all hours are reasonable when the Royals win and when their starter goes 9 innings. Man, it always restores the feeling. I mean, it really puts a hop in your step. As rare as these things are anymore, and we can all complain, all of us old school baseball types, which hand up, that's absolutely me. Grumble about pitchers not being able to finish what they started anymore. But anytime it does happen, it gets you excited. You can get your tail wagging a little bit, especially when the pitch count runs up to 115. Oh my God, Noah Cameron, your arm's gonna fall off. I hope he's okay. I hope he's not walking around in a sling today or anything like that.
Is he supposed to pitch Thursday?
Yeah, he'll be. No, Friday. Because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They'll come back around to him on Friday.
Okay.
So, hopefully he still has an arm by then. Who knows? Because remember that one? He 8 dominant innings in Minnesota about 3 weeks ago, and God forbid, they 93 pitches. They were like, nah, we can't have him go out and start the 9th, go for the shutout that day. And we all remember what happened that day.
Maybe that's why they did it.
Matt Quatraro is learning.
Yeah, maybe he's learning from his mistakes.
Might be.
He has the horrors of a 9th inning given to the bullpen.
Might be a little too late, but seems to be learning, adjusting, growing with his ball club. Anyhow, Royals baseball coming up tonight here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. In the meantime, in between time, we've got some headlines to get to. We're going to talk to Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, coming up in about 15 minutes. Mitch will join us for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Talking about the cherry on top players for the Chiefs this year. Players they would love to see break out. Not the must break out like last week's players. This theme week is players that the Chiefs would love to see break out. Brashard Smith, first on deck. We'll profile him with Mitch Holthus coming up here in just a little bit. Text lines open, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. And you can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. That is 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Let's get to the headlines. We got 2 Washburn headlines to get to right at the top here. I'll do this first one because it's actually a correction. we relayed to you the announcement of the 2026 Washburn Athletics Hall of Fame class on Friday's show. It turns out the press release was short a member. It's a 5-member class. So in addition to Torrey Beecham Battle, Joseph Busby, Ryan Deutsch, and Doug Hamilton, Corky Steiger is also going into the Washburn Athletic Hall of Fame in the class of 2026. One of the great women's basketball players in the history of the institution. An honorable mention All-America in both of her 2 seasons as what was then a Lady Blue. She was the South Central Region MVP as a senior, helping lead the Lady Blues to the Elite Eight. Made 95 threes as a senior. That is the highest single season total in school history. Even as the game has evolved to more and more and more three-point shooting, Corky Steiger still has that record she set in 2008. That's how prolific she was from letting them fly. Her 269 three-point field goal attempts in a single season also remain a school record. She's third all-time in school history in made threes with 142, despite only playing for 2 seasons. She also averaged 3 assists per game in her career, the 9th highest total in Washburn history. She is the 7th all-time scoring average. She's 7th all-time in scoring average at 15.9 points per game over her 2 years at Washburn. So Corky Steiger joins softball standout Torrey Beecham Battle, football star Joseph Busby, golfer Ryan Deutsch, and former golf head coach Doug Hamilton as the members of the Washburn Athletics 2026 Hall of Fame class. As to a current group of Ichabods, a high ranking for the volleyball team to start the season.
Not unexpected.
Certainly not.
Oh, you were asking me to
Yes,
do it.
I thought this was, yes, I was trying to segue into the headline.
Well, you didn't say Spencer.
That's my fault. I usually do. Spencer, give me a headline.
Washburn Volleyball will begin the 2026 season ranked 8th nationally in the American Volleyball Coaches Association preseason poll that was announced this afternoon. The Ichabods, who ended 2025 ranked 8th in the nation as well, went 27-5 last season. They reached the NCAA Central Region semifinals and were ranked nationally in every poll a season ago, reaching as high as number 2. They received 793 total points in the poll. Leading the poll is last season's national runner-up Concordia St. Paul, had 18 first-place votes. Tampa sits at number 2 with 10 first-place votes. And the defending national champs MSU Denver ranks 3rd with 18 first-place votes. Point Loma and St. Cloud State round out the top 5 respectively. Barry sits at 6 and gets the final first-place vote. Around the MIAA, Nebraska Kearney is number 7, so 1 spot ahead of the Ichabods, with Central Oklahoma at number 12 and Missouri Western tied for 16th in the first poll. Central Missouri and Emporia State each receiving votes. The Ichabods begin the season at their own Washburn Invitational on August 27th, facing Oklahoma Christian. That contest inside Lee Arena at 6 p.m.
Getting close.
Shaping up to be another great season for the Ichabod volleyball team. I know if you've been watching any local sports TV, 13 or 27, a lot of their sportscasts have been highlighting this volleyball team ahead of their 2026 season.
Lost a lot from last year, so it's really a testament to their program that they would be so high in the preseason ratings. Testament to the reputation that Chris Herron has built over there.
They'll play 4 games in the Washburn Invitational.
Right.
As I mentioned, Oklahoma Christian, Arkansas Tech Friday the 28th at 2 p.m., then William Jewell that same day at 7 p.m., and Westminster Saturday the 29th at 2 p.m.
Speaking of preseason polls, our next headline, the first AP college football top 25 of the season. 5 teams receiving first-place votes. The cream of the crop, according to the media, Ohio State, your preseason number 1 with 40 of the 69 first-place votes in the AP top 25. Oregon with 14 first-place votes at number 2, followed by Georgia, who's 3rd but did not get a first-place vote. Notre Dame got 6 first-place votes. They are 4th. Texas rounds out the top 5. They also did not receive a first-place vote. The defending national champions, Indiana, got 8 first-place votes and are 6th in the preseason poll. Miami got the last of the first-place votes. They are 7th. 8, 9, and 10, 3 SEC teams, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma. LSU continues the SEC streak at 11. Then Texas Tech, first Big 12 team in the poll. They come in at number 12. Alabama, number 13. Lowest preseason ranking, I think, since 2008. Been a long time since Bama's been that low in the preseason top 25. BYU and USC tied for 14th. So there is no number 15 in the poll, just 2 14s, BYU and USC. 16 through 20, Michigan, Washington, Penn State, SMU, and Tennessee. 21 through 25 features 2 more Big 12 teams, Utah at 21, Iowa, Houston at number 23, then Louisville at 24, and Mizzou rounding out the top 25. Other Big 12 teams receiving votes, Arizona would have been 29th in an extended poll, with TCU right behind them at what would have been 30. Oklahoma State received 8 votes, and that was all for the Big 12. So no votes for Kansas or Kansas State. This is the first time K-State has been unranked entering a season in either of the 2 major college football polls since 2022. What'd they do in 2022? No big deal, just won the Big 12. So perhaps past can be prologue. Spencer, your boy Von Miller, he found a new home.
Yeah. And if it means anything, the Cowboys aren't going to do anything then, right? Future Hall of Famer pass rusher Von Miller, he's going back to the state of Texas. He signed a deal with the Cowboys. The team announced Sunday night. It's a 1-year, $5.5 million contract with a maximum value of $7.5 million, according to Ian Rappaport. He went to DeSoto, Texas High School before going to Texas A&M. He is entering his 15th season, has more sacks, 138 and a half sacks, than any other player actively in the NFL.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes. The first-round pick from the Broncos in 2011 has been an 8-time Pro Bowler, first or second team All-Pro 7 times.
He is a surefire, no doubt about it.
First ballot,
yep. Walk into Canton Hall of Famer. I didn't realize how productive he was for the Commanders last year. You think he still got some juice?
Yeah, well, that's the role that he plays, right? Like you're not expecting a lot out of him. You're going to play him in certain spots of the game. Third down, especially if it's a 3rd and 5 and more, where you're expecting to pass the ball. That's what you want to give him, the opportunities to rush the passer. And yeah, I mean, when they first signed him last year, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. He said, I want to come to a team that has a chance to win a Super Bowl. And all the hype was there last year for my team. And then it wasn't. But when he ended with, I think it was 8.5?
9.
9. Yeah, 9 last year. I was like, you know what? That's a productive year for a 37-year-old.
The
he
money
was 36 last year.
Yeah. The money is entirely reasonable. So, if you're sitting there thinking, still of the belief that the Chiefs should have added a veteran, they could have made that work with Von Miller. But if there's going to be your job is to come in on 3rd down and go get the quarterback role on the team, I can understand maybe only having room for one of those guys on your roster. And for the Chiefs, that should be our Mason Thomas. If you spent the 40th overall pick on him, you would not want him to be second fiddle to even a future Hall of Famer in that role. So I understand it. If that's what he is now, useful piece, but one where I understand the Chiefs deciding to kind of pass on that and go with their own draft pick. Next headline for me, this is a big developing story in the NBA where they have found no evidence showing LA Clippers owner Steve Ballmer funneled money through team sponsors to pay Kawhi Leonard in order to circumvent the salary cap. Instead, the NBA is focused on whether the team's introduction of Leonard to team sponsors constitutes a violation of the league's rules prohibiting salary cap circumvention. The league is examining whether the Clippers are guilty of failure to supervise employees, though it's unclear what specific rule the team would have violated or what the penalties would be. Over the last year, journalist Pablo Torre on his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, has been uncovering the connections between Leonard and a now defunct green banking company called Aspiration that had a deal with the Clippers and that Leonard had a deal with. And the allegation being that the Clippers asked one of their team partners to pay Kawhi Leonard some money that they then did not have to pay him. to circumvent the league's salary cap. There have also been some more recent allegations that the scoreboard company Daktronics was also involved.
That was crazy.
Yes, it's
When
a
that came
wild
out.
story. Like, I cannot recommend highly enough. If you want to go down a wormhole, go watch Pablo Torre's podcast on the subject. And it seems very clear. Like, this stuff is well documented and well reported. It seems very clear that something fishy has been going on and that Kawhi Leonard's been paid a lot of money by companies that are also in bed with Steve Ballmer and the Los Angeles Clippers. If the NBA is just going to hand wave this, effectively what you've said is the salary cap is fake.
Yeah.
And you don't actually have to follow these rules that we've set. Because Steve Ballmer is so much more wealthy than any of the other NBA owners. Like, he's cartoon wealthy. He's richer than any of these people. The only people, frankly, that are kind of close to the kind of wealth he's dealing with are the people who just bought the Lakers, right? Bob Iger and not Jared Kushner, the less evil Kushner, Josh.
Who didn't buy...
Yeah, then they turn around, they bought the rest of the team today.
Oh, I thought they didn't.
No, they did. The Buss family sold their remaining share.
Oh, I read that wrong.
Yeah, they went and bought the whole rest of the team today. So that's where there's a much larger discussion to be had, and I think it would be an interesting discussion to have one day if we ever get the room for it. The valuations of sports franchises are so high that the only people with the money to buy in, basically it's going to be like private equity or like foreign wealth funds like the PIF from Saudi Arabia. Like, you've seen that happen in the Premier League, the richest league in the world, the English Premier League, the soccer league, where the only people you can't be just like an independent businessman and be like, yeah, I'm going to own a Premier League team. Yeah, not one that stays in the Premier League very long. You're not. Jeff Bezos just bought into Liverpool. Like, that's the kind of money you're going to need to be involved in sports. And the problem that creates, like the long-term problem that creates, is you're going to buy a team just for it to be a toy, and you don't really care if it wins or loses, and you don't really care about the community that the team serves. And is that good for sports? I kind of think it's pretty bad, actually, if that's where we're going, where the team valuations are such that you can only buy in if you're vulture capitalist or you're private equity. Like, the Yankees sold to private equity last week, and we didn't even talk about that. That went right under the radar, that there's a private equity agreement with the Yankees. That's kind of where we're headed across all sports. Eventually, your favorite team, decent chance, they're going to be owned by private equity or some other country's sovereign wealth fund. And you think they care about you? No. to be real blunt about it. Steve Ballmer, I will say this. Ballmer does seem to give a crap about the Clippers, like, a lot, and I'll give him credit for that, even though he's just, like, Scrooge McDuck rich. But if he's caring so much that he's willing to circumvent the salary cap because he knows nothing bad's going to happen to him or his team, that's bad, too. That's bad, too. That's going to wrap her headlines because we got to get out for Mitch. Oh, real quick. Winner circle. Got to get the winner circle real quick. Scotty Scheffler won at the FedEx St. Jude.
Easily.
By a lot. He won by 8. Gary Woodland finishing a tie for 42. That means he's the bubble boy this week at the BMW Championship in Belle Reve, where he's played well historically. He's 31st in the FedEx Cup standings. Needs to move up a spot to get into the Tour Championship the week after. Him being in the top 50, though, means he gets to play all the signature events like next year. So that's a big deal for G-Dub. NASCAR, Joey Logano wins at Richmond. His second win the last 4 starts. His third win there all time. Quote of the weekend from Logano's teammate Austin Cindric. Quote, "This is a racetrack that I feel Joey Logano could finish top 5 in my rental car." Great quote.
Yes.
That's your winner circle. Those are your headlines. Mitch Holthus is next on 580 Sports Talk.
Follow the show on X and Blue Sky at 580 Sports Talk.
.527 on 580 Sports Talk, and once again, for a third straight week, it is a training camp report with the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, who is brought to us by Hy-Vee. The world's best tailgating begins at Hy-Vee, proud official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs. And by Azura Credit Union. Visit with the Azura Credit Union Home Loans team. And Mitch, we described this week as the bonus week, or the cherry on top week here on these training camp reports, as we're going to get to profile some players for whom a breakout season would be something of a luxury for this Chiefs team. And one such player, the one we begin with today, is the second-year running back out of SMU, Brashard Smith. We saw quite a bit of him in the preseason opener on Saturday, and it's clear, really from the last two preseasons, that the Chiefs really want to see something from Brashard Smith as he adjusts to what is still in his football life kind of a new position for him there at running back.
Yeah, no question. I think people forget that he started out, he was a wide receiver at Miami of Florida and was a wide receiver in high school. Then when SMU gave him some NIL money and he moves and transfers, SMU said, we're going to make you a running back. And he had some dynamic times as a running back, although he's still trying to kind of figure it out. So he's a hybrid guy, wide receiver running back. Last year, his longest play was 17 yards. You look at him, but even the game on Saturday, there were two plays that come to mind that gives you hope or promise, where one play is a screen that's going to go nowhere, and he makes a guy miss and shiftiness and ends up making a 6-yard loss into an 8-yard gain. That's net 14 yards. Then he had another one on just a straight run that was going nowhere. Instead of going -4, it went to +4. Well, that's net 8 yards. May not seem like much, but it's progress for a guy who does have explosive ability. He's fast, shifty, and could really be a great compliment to Ken Walker in the running back room or even the wide receiver corps. So I asked Brashard to kind of break it down for us, and the fact that he knows what he needs to do. He's just trying to get there.
To be in this offense even longer that you've been around and having RB skills and receiver skills, where are you at right now, you think, in your advancement?
I feel like I'm just learning every day. I'm still learning every single day, and I got a good leader, Kenneth Walker. I got Amari helping me out also. So I feel like I got good vets in the room, and I'm learning for sure. And I'm ready to step up and make a role for sure.
Good attitude. You see him start to gain some confidence. He's had bigger plays in camp and bigger plays this spring and summer than he's shown on the field. But if he now becomes an explosive element for this team, either as a slot receiver, jet sweep guy, I think of McCole Hardman here, or as a running back, it will be a real asset and a compliment to Ken Walker in this offense.
What does Smith need to do? You kind of walked through it there at the close of that answer, but what are the things that Smith can do that separate him from the other running back options? So when you have your starter, obviously, Kenneth Walker is nailed on, but if you're going to be part of that rotation to get playing time, if you're going to earn those snaps, what are the things that Brashard Smith offers that you think give him a chance to separate and earn that additional playing time?
Well, we've got a developing story here with Emmett Johnson. And Emmett, who did mostly a great job on Saturday, is starting to get more first-team reps. It started at the end of last week, and he got more today. So my answer, you're on, wait a minute, I ask you about Brashard Smith. You're telling me about Emmett Johnson. Here's my answer to you, in my thought, is that Brashard Smith becomes third down back. He becomes a explosive version of a Jerick McKinnon. With his receiver skills now, being that guy, you have to protect. Brashard has not been a great protector, and he's trying to learn. That goes into the learning curve, but he hasn't had many reps there. SMU didn't have him protect a lot. In this offense, if you're going to be a running back, and especially a third down back, you're not always going out for passes. And you've either got to chip and release, and you're chipping and releasing on, Myles Garrett or Nick Bonito or the great pass rushers in our league and even in our division. So Tui Pelotu, okay? You're going to block him head on, one-on-one, but you're going to help. And before you go out on a pattern, you better take care of the chip and release. So if he does that, he can become a master. He already can run the angle route or the circle routes out of the backfield. Now he just has to become, I'd say, dude, if you want to make it in this league and make it for a long time, you become the third down back specialist guy. And he would serve himself and the Chiefs well if he would embrace that role.
Mitch Holthus is our guest, the voice of the Chiefs, joining us for a training camp report here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. That third down role, we've seen the Chiefs really thrive when they have an effective all-around third down back. Jerick McKinnon, maybe the platonic ideal of that player. Samaje Perine only around one season, but was also excellent in that role. Made the game-sealing catch.
Dan, we don't make the Super Bowl in 59, Super Bowl 59 and 24 if we don't have Samaje Perine.
Yeah,
I'll just tell you that straight up.
Game-winning reception in the AFC Championship game.
On his back, he made a play. So yeah.
So having that piece is something that has helped the Chiefs offense go over time. So Brashard Smith has some of the pieces for that. When you think about the guys who were good pass protectors, it's not about necessarily being built like a fullback, right? It's kind of a want to. It's like rebounding in basketball. You're tall, that helps. Just like if you're big, yeah, it helps you block. But you got to have the want to, the desire. Is that what you're trying to get out of the guys who are fighting for that third down role?
Yeah, that plus, and the plus one is technique. You're not going to block Tui Pelotu one-on-one, but your technique is important. Footwork, just like a lineman, your footwork, you're not going to have the power of a hand placement or a punch, but your balance, understanding. That's why Jerick McKinnon was so good, in the fact that you have to have technique and embrace the technique and trying to learn it. It's being a wrestler, but you're wrestling at 150 against a 175 or worse, or better, as it were. I don't want to besmirch any heavyweight wrestlers. The other thing, though, is mentally. And the great third down backs in this league, Perine was great at it. So was McKinnon, and that's defensive recognition. Where's the front? Where's the backers? What are they showing me pre-snap? What's our play call? What's the adjustment that Pat could make? What's the adjustment I'm going to make in the next fraction of a second once the snap is made? The ones who want to become third down backs want to release and be receivers all the time. Yep. That's huge. That's a big part of it. But if you can't do the other part of it, then you're not going to make it. So I've got to learn defensive looks. I have to study tape of my opponent. If you're getting ready to play the Broncos, what do they show here? What have they shown here? What does this mean coverage-wise? What are you going to do with your protection or your double and chip and release? Or if you do a route here, what's the proper steps on my angular circle or my flat pattern or a one-man screen? It's all of that. But so many third down backs or wannabe third down backs fail because they fail to study the other side of the ball. And they get tricked. They get tricked by decoyed by defensive rush or defensive coverage. And that's just as lethal as a receiver doing that. That usually leads to disastrous plays. So if Brashard's going to get there, and I think he can, and that man with his skill set, he'd be awesome at it. Again, a better, younger version of a Jerick McKinnon or a Samaje Perine. Doesn't have the girth of Perine, but he's big enough. He could be dynamic in that role.
While we're talking about the running backs, that's another spot where the Chiefs had some coaching staff turnover. DeMarco Murray, the former Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL, Oklahoma great, is the new running backs coach for the Chiefs. What has he brought to that room and that position group?
Enormous upgrade. So not all great players in this league can translate into being a coach or getting their message across to younger players. DeMarco is a really smart dude. He's got a great demeanor about him, but he's also a teacher. So this is the valedictorian who comes in and teaches school and is your best teacher. He really is very good. Now, he'll bring you the toughness angle that you want, and EB's also there for that. EB's an old running backs coach. But it goes back to my point of trying to study or learning the basics as far as my technique, that DeMarco brings all of that. And he was, yes, a great running back for the Dallas Cowboys and the University of Oklahoma, but I have just been very impressed with him as a coach. One thing Brashard has done, and I didn't mention this, you hear the term getting skinny in the hole. So Brashard last year there are times where if I'm moving at the first level especially, and again, this is the shiftiness of Brashard Smith. His feet are very good. I can shift, but once I get back past the first level or into the line, I can angle my body in such a way where I'm kind of squeezing through the hole at about a 270-degree angle, if you will, or a 45-degree angle is a better term. But I can get skinny in the hole. All of a sudden now the backer can't get a fresh shot on me or the lineman because I'm not coming through square. If I'm a faster, smaller running back, that's paramount for me to do it. Now, Ken Walker can do it. He's got incredible contact balance. Emmett Johnson can just smash into you. He could be like a Kareem Hunt of a year ago, being a third down or specialist on 3rd and 1, and Kareem was the best in the league at it, numerically. I'm not just saying that as like, oh, yeah, that's what I think. It was there empirically. So I'm babbling here, but Brashard Smith getting skinny in the hole is a technique taught to him by DeMarco Murray. People want to talk about EB. They want to talk about Chad O'Shea with the receivers. Not enough people are talking about DeMarco Murray and his impact on the running back room.
We're joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, for our training camp reports here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. And Mitch, while he's used on offense a lot, how much impact do you think he could make in the return game, both punt return and kick return this year in Brashard Smith?
You read my mind. Phenomenal question, because that's the next paragraph of his game. If you have a third down back that we just described and talked about the last 5 paragraphs, but that back is also a good returner or a potential great returner, now you're cooking. So think about Emmett Johnson's mentor in this league, Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah has played in this league for 12 years. He runs a 4.55, but he's captured all of those trademarks of a third down back, but he's also been a good returner. Now, if you get a great returner, and with Brashard Smith's speed and shiftiness, you can get a touchdown return, either in a punt or kickoff. So you just nailed the big part of this discussion, is the fact that he can bring both to the table. I still think that Nico Remigio will make this team, and Nico's been steady. He looks faster and quicker, Remigio. But Brashard is a guy that can, he's popping 4.3. And if he gets loose in a kickoff return, it's bye-bye. So if a third down back can be a kick or punt returner, you got something really cooking on your offensive and special teams groups.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he joins us for training camp reports throughout the month of August here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to us by Hy-Vee. The world's best tailgating begins at Hy-Vee, proud official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs, and by Azura Credit Union, where you can visit with the Azura Credit Union Home Loans team. Mitch, Cherry on the Sunday week continues tomorrow. Can we get a teaser?
Yeah. We all love 50-yard pass plays. We love the double moves. Oh, my gosh, that's great. The crowd roars every time at camp it happens. But this person needs to become 3rd and 8 for a gain of 9. Crossers, shallows, skinny posts, quick slants. If this person's going to take the next jump forward, that has to happen. Now, we got a rookie doing it, but this guy has been around the league a while, and he needs to, if he does it and learns it on a consistent basis, it'll be a cherry on top.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. We will look forward to that tomorrow. Mitch, thanks so much.
Thanks, fellas.
That is Mitch Holthus. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Talk a little baseball because we got to mention Noah Cameron because he was so good yesterday for the Royals and has been so good for about a month. Is he leveling up or is he just beating up on bad lineups? We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk.
Wherever you go, 580 WIBW and MSC Radio Network station.
Want to watch the show? Subscribe to our YouTube channel at 580 Sports Talk.
543 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you, hanging out till 6 o'clock. Royals baseball coming up after we're done. Royals and the A's. Another battle of American League cellar-ish dwellers. I guess the A's aren't in last place anymore because the Royals, by virtue of taking 2 out of 3 from the Angels, turned the Angels into cellar dwellers.
Hey, they almost... Saturday was a 1-0 loss.
Yeah.
They almost swept them.
They did.
They would have gotten that.
They did.
Two runs. You needed 2 runs, and you could have swept them.
Nate Pearson's officially a Royals reliever now. He's got a late inning loss. Another loss in the other team's final at bat. The Royals are up to what, 24 of those this year? Something ridiculous, or 14 of those, something ridiculous like that. It's 14, I think. But the Royals rebounded yesterday. And they did so behind another outstanding outing from Noah Cameron. So this is what Noah Cameron has done. This is his last 5 outings. And the first of them was against Detroit. It was as an opener, but he finished the game. He worked 7 innings, no runs on 2 hits, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Then at Minnesota, 8 innings of 1-hit shutout ball with 7 strikeouts to just 2 walks. He left that game trailing or leading 3-0 going into the 9th. You unfortunately know what happened after that. The next time out, he pitched against Minnesota at home, 8 innings of 1-run ball on just 3 hits, only 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Then in Los Angeles on the road trip, he pitched twice against the Dodgers on Monday, 5 2/3 innings, 4 runs allowed on 6 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Kind of hard done by because some of those earned runs in the 6th were charged to him, but they were John Schreiber's fault. And then a 1-hit shutout yesterday against the Angels, the first 1-hitter thrown by the Royals since Zach Greinke in 2009. Don't know if you remember this, Spencer, but Zach Greinke was really freaking good in 2009.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yep, and 1 walk, 8 strikeouts in the course of those 9 innings. So, obviously, the Dodger outing stands out like a sore thumb, right? Like, you look at the teams he's done this to. Detroit, not a real good lineup. Minnesota, back-to-back, not real good. The Angels stink. Like, did you know half of those dudes? Like, you can be honest with me, listeners.
No.
You know who those guys are? Do you know who Denzer Guzman is? I mean, I guess yesterday, at least Trout's playing, and, like, Travis d'Arnaud's been around forever, and Zach Neto has, like, had one good year. Wade Meckler's hitting 290. Like, I guess he doesn't totally stink, but, like, that's not a real good lineup. And the one lineup that was real good is the one lineup that, Cameron didn't get the swing and miss against, didn't run up the strikeouts, though he continued to have good command, not walk anybody. Only 2 walks in that outing against the Dodgers. So which is it? Is he feasting on some bummy lineups, or is this a young pitcher turning a corner? It's very handy that we now have a sample size that is the exact same to look at for Noah Cameron from last year to this year. Last year, 24 starts, 138 and a third innings. This year, 23 starts and that 7-inning outing as a reliever, 138 and a third innings. We have the exact same number of innings. So, what's different? Strikeouts have increased. He's up over 8 strikeouts per 9. Last year, he was under 7.5. That's good. Walks. How about this? He's walked exactly 43 batters this year and last.
That's crazy. To have the exact same amount of innings pitched and walks.
Same number of innings pitched. It's not the same number of batters faced, right? But still, same number of innings, same number of walks. 43 walks. So he's actually faced more batters this year. So the walk percentage has actually gone down a tick. But the walk rate remains the same. Home runs have gone down. 18 home runs allowed last year, 14 home runs allowed this year. The thing that has increased have been hits, just regular old hits. And as we know, that's not something a pitcher has full 100% control over.
Yeah, it increased hits per 9 by 1.1.
Yeah, 126 hits to just 109 hits last year. And to dig in on that a little bit, his batting average on balls in play last year was 241, which is like really low, remarkably low. This year, 286, which is right around average. Add it all up, and I think it is fair to say that we have a pitcher here in Noah Cameron who has improved in his second big league season. To what degree he has improved, I think that's where you pump the brakes a little bit. I do not think this is, oh man, Noah Cameron is becoming an ace. Noah Cameron is becoming a top-of-the-rotation guy right before our eyes. I do think that the sample size we're dealing with here does have to come with the caveat of hasn't really been great lineups that he's seeing. But am I willing to say where before, going into this year, I thought, okay, even though he had an ERA under 3 last year, this is still a pitcher that all of the underlying numbers suggest is probably like a 4 or a 5 in your rotation. Am I willing to say that he is pitching much more like a 3 this year? A good 3. Yes. I do think that the ceiling has raised a little bit for Cameron where we can say, yeah, he now looks like a comfortable middle-of-the-rotation arm more than just a back-of-the-rotation guy who's going to have, sure, some peaks, but also the valleys are going to be really low.
Yeah.
We've seen some low valleys for Cameron this year, but the big change that he's made in these last 5 outings is he's calling his own games. And accordingly, the way that his pitch mix has changed, we're seeing a lot more of the slider because he's found his feel for the pitch. That was his best pitch last year. It hasn't been a good pitch for him this year. He finally got it back to neutral run value over the last 5 outings, but it had been not a good pitch for him this season. So that, to me, is the bigger deal than he's calling his own pitches. Well, his best breaking pitch, his best weapon against lefties, and an occasional weapon to righties, he's found that pitch again. He's got the feel back for that. And the changeup has been exceptional. Yesterday, in particular, the changeup was outstanding. He had a lot of swings and miss on the changeup. He had a swing and miss to Trout on the changeup to end the game. So
who was calling his pitches?
He is.
No, beforehand.
Catcher.
Okay.
The Royals, to my knowledge, are not one of those teams. There were a couple of teams this year
That's
who
why
were
I was
having
asking.
them send them in from the dugout.
Yeah.
The Rockies did it for a while, but stopped. The Marlins, I think, are still doing it. I don't believe the Royals were a team that was doing that. So I think it was just Cameron, or Jensen rather, or Perez, whoever happened to be catching. But obviously, he's comfortable, and he now has an out pitch against lefties, which is that slider. But now the changeup becoming an out pitch against righties, because a lot of times, what makes a back of the rotation guy is they're really good against same hand, because most pitchers are.
Yeah.
But they don't have that weapon to get the opposite hand guys out. And for a lefty, that's real problematic because most of the hitters you face are right-handed. So if the changeup is now becoming a weapon for Cameron against righties that can neutralize them, that can get swing and miss, that can get strikeouts, that's what moves you up a rung on the ladder from being like, all right, yeah, he's back of the rotation. You plug him in as your 4 or your 5 to saying, this guy is not out of place in the middle of a big league rotation. Texter asked what his splits were based on the catcher, and I don't know if I can find those readily. I'm going to take a quick look and see if that's something I can find like immediately. It looks like he was a lot better with Sal. A lot. He's been a lot better with Sal behind the plate. It's been almost the same number of innings this year, and with Perez a 2.38 ERA and a 1.86 average against. And with Carter Jensen, a 4.98 ERA and a 2.45 average against. Now, he threw to Maley yesterday, right? Was it Maley who started yesterday?
I think.
Yeah, and pretty good with Maley back. He was lousy in his 3 starts with Elias Diaz behind the plate, I can tell you. He and Elias didn't get along. But, no, there is a pretty big difference between the numbers with Sal and the numbers with Jensen, which
I think that's
Jensen being a rookie catcher, you can understand.
Say. Yeah, I think it's him being young.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of that. We've started to see Jensen slow down at the plate a little bit. It's kind of the grind of being an everyday catcher. Like, you got to take your lumps. And Carter Jensen's taken a few lumps this year. But he's back in the lineup tonight, Jensen is, and doing the catching. Also back in the lineup, Michael Garcia and Vinny Pasquantino, both
just a few months too late
from the injured list. Connor Thomas also called up from AAA. He had been claimed by the Royals a little bit ago from the A's, I believe. He'd also spent time with the Braves. He is called up. The corresponding moves, Josh Rojas optioned out. Jose Cuas optioned to AAA. Starling Marte designated for assignment. Probably the end of the line for the
we were
active.
talking about that earlier.
Yeah, for the active stolen base leader, Starling Marte.
I think it's interesting that they optioned Cuas.
He had been pitching well,
he's been pitching pretty well,
but not in leverage. And I think they kind of understand. Like, it's another thing. Like, you're that age, you've been around as long. They kind of have their opinion on him. Now, do I think he'd be a better fit to find out for next year than Craig Kimbrell? Sure.
Exactly.
But anyhow, Carter Jensen leads off tonight in support of Michael Wacha, who gets the start for the Royals, followed by Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Jack Caglione in right, Garcia at third, and Pasquantino at first, batting 4-5 in their returns from their minor league rehab assignment. Salvi will DH and bat sixth. Then Michael Massey at second, Isaac Collins in left, Kyle Isbell in center. This is the A lineup. This is the best lineup the Royals can throw out there with all their guys healthy. They will face A's right-hander Mason Barnett, who carries a 6.16 earned run average into tonight's game. The lineup for Sacramento, Jeff
One
McNeil.
in the jar.
Yep, jar. Jeff McNeil at first, Henry Bolt in center, Lawrence Butler in right field, Zach Geloff will DH cleanup, Carlos Cortez is in left, Tommy Tanks. If you follow college baseball, you remember Tommy Tanks at LSU. Tommy White, he just got called up. He's at third base. Donovan Walton is the second baseman. I'm having to look at all these first names. I don't know who any of these guys are. Alika Williams, is the shortstop batting eighth. Rocky great Brian Serven is the catcher batting ninth. I saw Brian Serven hit 2 home runs in a major league game in person. I was there for that. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch. We're back with more 580 Sports Talk. The final word is next.
Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis talking sports in Topeka. This is 580 Sports Talk.
Final word time. Spencer Dupuis, make it good.
There's only one way to watch preseason football, and that's record it and fast forward through. I watched 3 games in a row. I watched my guy Tyson Bagent play for the Bears, too, along with my Commanders, and watching the Chiefs so well Saturday.
Final word for me. I'll finish where I started. The penalties, the drop pass for a touchdown, that sloppiness, that attention to detail that was lacking. Felt very 2025 of the Chiefs in their preseason opener. They got 2 preseason games to try and flush all that out of their system and get right. Even the backups. How the backups do anything is how everybody will do everything. So they got to get those things right. Got to get those things cleaned up. Royals baseball's next. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero, and this was 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. Good night!